Chapter 1916. Xian Yinjuan joins the alliance. Chapter 1916. Xian Yinjuan joins the alliance. 3 days passed in the blink of an eye, and the day of the Dragon Alliance's establishment had arrived. On this day, dozens of tables were set up on the mountain where they lived. Early in the morning, someone had arrived to pay a visit to Lu Ming, and was willing to join the Dragon Alliance. At noon, the number of people slowly increased, but it was still far from the day when the Heaven Emperor Alliance was established. Obviously, there were very few people who were optimistic about Lu Ming and the rest. However, what made Lu Ming and the rest happy was that 2 small groups had joined them. The leaders of these 2 small groups were all geniuses with king physique. After that, all the elites of the Purple Flame Villa from the ancient Yang sacred land joined the Dragon Alliance. Some of the supreme talents in the Purple Flame Villa had made a bet that they would serve Lu Ming for 50 years. Now that the Dragon Alliance had been established, they naturally joined it. After the people from the Purple Flame Villa arrived, another group of people arrived, attracting everyone's attention. "It's the Ancient Saint clan," someone exclaimed. The Ancient Saint tribe was an alliance as well. There were more than 100 of them. At this moment, all of them had arrived. However, they were blocked out by the light screen formed by the formation plate. If Lu Ming was not willing to let them in, they could not enter. "Lu Ming, what's wrong? You won't let us in?" Xian Yinqing walked in front and smiled. "Are you here to congratulate me?" Lu Ming's voice was heard. "No." Xian Yinjuan shook his head, a meaningful smile on his face. "We are here to join the Dragon Alliance." "What?" Many people were shocked. The Ancient Saint clan had come to join the Dragon Alliance? Some people revealed looks of joy. The strength of the Ancient Divine tribe was already shocking. In addition, there were several king physiques in the alliance with the Ancient Divine tribe. If the Ancient Divine tribe joined the Dragon Alliance, the Dragon Alliance would be very powerful. It might even surpass the Divine Fire Alliance, and be second only to the Heavenly Emperor Alliance. Lu Ming was stunned as well. He did not expect Xian Yinjuan to bring the Ancient Saint clan back to join the Dragon Alliance and rely on him. Back in the Divine Wilderness continent, Xian Yinjuan and he were mortal enemies. He still remembered Xian Yanjin's resentful expression. "What's wrong? Don't you welcome us? Lu Ming, we are a family." Xian Yinjuan smiled. "What?" Everyone was stunned. Qiu Yu Fengling, Luo Tianyi, and the others looked at Lu Ming curiously. Lu Ming and Xian Yinjuan were a family? Could it be that Lu Ming and Xian Yinjuan had a secret relationship? Many people couldn't help but let their imaginations run wild. Xian Yinjuan chuckled. "Lu Ming, you're my brother-in-law. Don't you want me to join you?" These words made many people's hearts tremble even more. Especially Huang Ling, Qiu Yu, Luo Tianyi, and a few other women. Their faces were a little strange. "Young master, are you married to Miss Yinqing? It's normal for them to be married after so many years. But why don't I see Miss Yinqing?" Qiu Yu's mind was filled with all sorts of thoughts, and she felt a little bitter in her heart. Then, Qiu Yu shook her head and thought. "Qiu Yue, what are you thinking about? Young master and Miss Yinqing are a match made in heaven. You only need to stay by young master's side and serve him well. How can you be worthy of young master? It turns out that Lu Ming already has a wife. But why didn't he tell me?" Huang Ling thought to herself and felt a little disappointed. Luo Tianyi's eyes were also a little strange. Long Chun was the only one who remained calm. He was Xian Yanjin's real brother-in-law. Lu Ming smiled bitterly, but he could not refute Xian Yanjin's words. Given his relationship with Xian Yinqing, it was only a matter of time before they got married. Xian Yinjuan was Xian Yanqing's elder sister, so it wasn't wrong to call him brother-in-law. "Are you guys really here to join the Dragon Alliance?" Lu Ming narrowed his eyes and asked. "That's only natural. Currently, the Yuan Mountain Sacred Academy is split up by many powerful individuals. You are my relative, and are the most familiar with you. I would naturally come to seek refuge with you," Xian Yinjuan said with a smile. "Don't try to get close to me. You wanted to kill me back then. I really doubt your intentions," Lu Ming said coldly. "People change. Back then, one was too short-sighted in that corner of the world. Now I naturally have to look at the long term. There is no eternal enemy in this world, Xian Yinjuan said with a smile on his face. Compared to his cold and arrogant self, he was indeed very different. You can join the Dragon Alliance, but the Dragon Alliance has its own rules. If you break any of the rules, I won't show you any mercy, Lu Ming said. Naturally, Xian Yinjuan chuckled. Her position in the Ancient Saint clan seemed to be extraordinary. The other members of the Ancient Saint clan seemed to listen to her. Lu Ming did not dare to underestimate Xian Yinjuan. Ever since he met this woman in the Yuan continent, Lu Ming had always felt that she was dangerous and mysterious. In her body, Lu Ming seemed to sense a terrifying power that was dormant. Once it exploded, it would be earth-shattering. He had the same feeling when he saw Xian Yinqing. After that, Lu Ming controlled the array disc and let the ancient sacred clan members in. All right, let's start the alliance. Lu Ming waved his hand. However, this was the Yuan Mountain Sacred Institute after all. The conditions were limited. The process of establishing an alliance was very simple. Everyone paid their respects to Lu Ming, and then the banquet was held to celebrate. While everyone was eating and drinking, someone else descended outside the area covered by the formation plate. The one and only holy temple. Lu Ming's gaze swept across. A few heaven's favorites from the sacred hall stood outside the light screen. The one in the lead was Yushu. Yushu, you've joined the Heaven Emperor Alliance for a long time. What's the matter with you here today? Ouyang Wushuang's voice was heard. Could it be that you want to switch sides and join my Dragon Alliance? The Dragon Alliance doesn't dare to accept people who change sides at will. One of the geniuses from the Purple Flame Villa laughed. We're here today for my junior sister. Yushu snorted and looked at Qiuyu. Junior sister Qiuyu, come with us and join the Heavenly Emperor Alliance. If you stay in the Dragon Alliance, you'll get into trouble sooner or later. Did Luo Tsangqiong send you here? Qiuyu said indifferently. That's right, Luo Tsangqiong asked us to come here. But it was also our own idea. There is no benefit for you to stay in the Dragon Alliance, Yushu said. Get lost. Qiuyu scolded coldly. Yushu's expression changed, and she said gloomily. Qiuyu, don't be so selfish. Luo Tsangqiong is the grandson of the great sovereign. If you go against him like this, you will only implicate the only sacred palace, and even your master. Hehe, you sure know how to talk nonsense. The matter between a few juniors actually involved the only sacred temple and the true emperor. Isn't that funny? Lu Ming spoke indifferently. Yushu, don't make it sound so high and mighty. You're doing this for yourself, right? If you can bring me to the Heaven Emperor Alliance, I'm afraid Luo Tsangqiong will reward you handsomely. Qiuyu said sarcastically. You guys. Yushu's face turned red. You don't want to get lost? Then come in and have a drink. Desolate Power stepped into the air, his eyes flashing with a ferocious light. Chapter 1917. A year and a half. Lu Xiangxiang. Chapter 1917. A year and a half. Lu Xiangxiang, Yushu and the few heaven's favorites from the only sacred hall turned around and ran. Their voices came from afar. You guys, just you wait. Hehe, a few clowns. Desolate Li grinned and returned to his meal. After 3 rounds of drinking, the banquet finally ended. Those who joined the Dragon Alliance all lived within the area covered by the array disc. The formation of the Dragon Alliance and the appearance of the third formation plate made the atmosphere in the Yuan Mountain Sacred Academy even more tense. This was because 3 out of the 4 sets of formation discs had already appeared. There was still 1 more set left. The competition in the remaining small alliances became even more intense. There were fights every day on the Absolute Saint battlefield. After more than 10 days of competition, the 4th set of formation discs was finally obtained by an alliance, the Knights Association. The leader of this alliance was the 3rd-ranked genius on the Saint King ranking. He was very powerful. With that, all 4 sets of formation discs were obtained, forming 4 alliances. The remaining small groups and alliances all joined the 4 alliances to seek protection. Because without the protection of the array disc, they would be in danger in the Yuan Mountain Sacred Academy and could be attacked at any time. There were very few people who didn't join the 4 alliances. There were only a few powerful lone wolves, such as the son of Death, Deathblade. He was a lone wolf. However, none of the forces dared to offend him. No matter which cultivation place he went to, no force would dare to stop him. He was too powerful. Now no one could say that they could defeat the Death Blade, except for the Hengxing River. However, this also proved that the Death Blade had nothing to do with the Dragon Alliance. However, the number of people who joined the Heaven Emperor Alliance was still the most. The Heaven Emperor Alliance was undoubtedly the most powerful. Some people ranked the 4 alliances based on their strength. Heaven Emperor Alliance number 1. The Dragon League was 2nd. The Divine Fire Alliance and the Knights Association were in 3rd and 4th place respectively. In the following period of time, the Yuan Mountain Sacred Academy became even more chaotic. The 4 alliances started to fight for the cultivation grounds, killing each other continuously. It was only after a few months that the killing finally stopped. The 4 alliances each occupied a cultivation ground, and Mount Yuan entered a period of peace. The heavens' favorites from the 4 alliances each took a spot and started to cultivate. During this period, Lu Ming would also choose some reliable people and use the Dian Elixir Furnace to help them temper their spirit bodies and upgrade their spirit bodies' levels. For example, with the help of the Dian Elixir Furnace, the 4 elites of the Desolate race with medium-grade heavenly spiritual bodies had all evolved their spiritual bodies to become high-grade heavenly spiritual bodies, greatly increasing their strength. And Xuaningxin, with the help of the Dian Elixir Furnace, had also reached the upper-class heavenly spiritual body. Xuaningxin was a true dragon and had enough talent. With the help of the Dian Elixir Furnace, her spirit body improved rapidly. The strength of the entire Dragon Alliance was constantly improving. In the blink of an eye, more than a year had passed. It had been a year and a half since the Great Emperor had announced the new rules. During this period of time, although Lu Ming often helped others to temper their spirit bodies, he did not neglect his own cultivation. The place where he stayed the most was the Absolute Saint battlefield. There, he fought with powerful ferocious beasts and used the battle to stimulate his own potential. Lu Ming's cultivation base had also successfully broken through and entered the Mastery Absolute Saint realm. The other king bodies, such as Qiu Yu, Huang Ling, Huang Li and Long Chun, had also broken through and entered the upper tier of the Absolute Saint realm. Luo Tianyi had even reached the pinnacle of the Absolute Saint realm. The higher one's cultivation was, the harder it would be to break through. It was already very fast to be able to break through one level in just over a year. This was also because of the good cultivation conditions in the Yuan Mountain Sacred Academy. If he were to cultivate normally, he would definitely not be able to achieve such a speed. As for the Divine Ability Art, ever since Lu Ming's Divine Ability Art had reached 90% mastery, the speed of improvement had become even slower. After a year and a half, Lu Ming's Divine Power Technique had only improved to 93%. Every step forward was extremely difficult. The closer one got to the perfect 100%, the more difficult it was. The galaxy had reached the Absolute Saint perfection a year and a half ago. However, it would not be easy for him to cross this step and enter the Emperor-to-be realm. Heaven Emperor City was the leader of the 9 sacred lands of Yuan Mountain. Its overall strength was much stronger than the ancient Moon Sacred Land. In the Heavenly Emperor City, there were a few of the biggest ancient aristocratic families that had been passed down for countless years. They were powerful and had a deep foundation. The Hung family was one of them, and they were known as the descendants of the Heavenly Emperor. The He clan was one of them. They were as powerful as the Hung clan and had a feud with the Hung clan. 1,000 years ago, the two clans had a terrible war that resulted in countless deaths and injuries. It was only in the recent hundreds of years that the situation had stabilized. The mansion of the He family was extremely vast and boundless. In the He family's mansion, there were not only endless palaces, pavilions, and towers, but also mountain peaks that reached into the clouds and a winding river. It was like a country. Several figures were standing on a mountain peak of the He family. One of them was a white-haired old man with a kind expression. Beside the old man was a burly young man. These two people were actually the Ice Dragon Valley Master and Tian Shui. Not far from the two of them, there was an old man. The old man was wearing a brocade robe embroidered with the different scenery of the four seasons. However, he was very old, much older than Ice Dragon Valley Master. His face was full of wrinkles, and his hair was almost all gone. However, from the flash of a terrifying light in his eyes, one could tell that this person must be a very terrifying master. However, all three of them were looking at a young girl who was sitting cross-legged in the middle of the mountain. This young lady was Lu Ming's first true disciple, Lu Xiangxiang. At this moment, Lu Xiangxiang's body emitted a mysterious light. The mountain was filled with endless vitality. Countless flowers and trees grew wildly. Small trees turned into towering ancient trees. Even some ordinary grass turned into spiritual grass. Boom! After a moment, the aura on Lu Xiangxiang's body suddenly soared. I've broken through. And NBSB on the side, the eyes of the withered elder, Ice Dragon Valley Master, and Tian Shui lit up in shock. Lu Xiangxiang had broken through to the peak of the Supreme Saint Realm. Especially the Valley Master and Tian Shui, they were truly shocked. Xiangxiang Bella's cultivation had been at the Martial Emperor realm when they had escaped from the Azure continent. Now, after a few years, her cultivation had reached the astonishing peak of the Supreme Saint realm. Xiangxiang, she's not even 15 years old. A few hours later, the aura on Lu Xiangxiang's body receded. She opened her eyes and stood up. A few years had passed, and Xiangxiang was already a slim and beautiful young lady. She was tall and beautiful, and she already had the potential to cause the downfall of cities and countries. Ha ha ha, not bad, Xiangxiang. I didn't expect you to break through so quickly and reach the peak of the Great Saint Realm. Such an achievement is rare, even in the entire Yuan Mountain. The skinny old man walked over and smiled. Thank you for the praise, Senior He Qian. Xiangxiang Bella bowed to the skinny old man. Chapter 1918. Taking Xiangxiang as a disciple? Chapter 1918. Taking Xiangxiang as a disciple? I'm speaking the truth, not a compliment. There are only a few people in the Yuan Mountain who can compare to your achievements. The skinny old man He Qian smiled and then changed the topic. Xiangxiang. What one said before about you acknowledging me as your master. Have you considered it? Xiangxiang thanks Senior for your kindness, but Xiangxiang already has a master. Without master's consent, Xiangxiang doesn't dare to take another person as a master. Xiangxiang Bella bowed politely and rejected the other party. He Qian's expression darkened. Xiangxiang, you have to consider this carefully. I'm a true emperor. What's your master's cultivation? Although my master's cultivation is not high now, Xiangxiang Bella believes that my master will definitely become a peak expert in this world in the future. Xiangxiang Bella said with a determined look in her eyes. In her heart, Lu Ming was the strongest. Although his cultivation level was not as high as He Qian's for the time being, he would surpass He Qian sooner or later. Silly girl. It's not that easy to become a top expert of the Yuan continent. Moreover, he can't even protect his own disciple. What achievements can he have? He might have already fallen by now. You're still young. Don't be deceived by a few flowery words of others. He Qian said with a smile, thinking that Xiangxiang had the temperament of a child and did not know anything. Xiangxiang Bella's face slightly sank as she said, Senior He Yan, you have saved Xiangxiang Bella, Grandpa Valley Master, and Martial Uncle Tian Shui. Xiangxiang Bella is grateful to you. However, please do not insult my master. Otherwise, Xiangxiang Bella will have to take her leave. Alright. One won't force you. You can take your time to think about it. However, you have to cultivate the 4 seasons technique that I'm going to teach you. It's very compatible with your physique and can stimulate your potential to a greater extent. Your talent is unparalleled, and I really don't want to see you being held back and wasting such talent. He Qian sighed, but no one saw the cold glint that flashed in the depths of his eyes. Am I alright? Xiangxiang Bella nodded her head, and only then did her expression look a little better. Xiangxiang, you and your martial uncle Tian Shui should go back first. I have something to discuss with Grandpa Valley Master. He Qian said with a smile. And okay. Goodbye, Senior He Qian. Goodbye, Grandpa Valley Master. Xiangxiang Bella obediently nodded her head. After saying goodbye to He Qian and Valley Master Ice Dragon, She and Tian Shui soared into the sky and left the place. As soon as Xiang Bela and Tian Shui left, He Xiao's face darkened. He coldly looked at Ice Dragon Valley Master, and a terrifying aura pressed down on him. And NBSB, Ice Dragon Valley Master's body trembled, and he couldn't help but retreat, his face deathly pale. Yi Qian was a true emperor expert. In front of him, Ice Dragon Valley Master had no power to resist. I told you to persuade Xiang to acknowledge me as her master, but it seems you didn't, Yi Qian said with a gloomy face. It's Xiangxiang's own choice who she wants to take as her master. What's the use of me persuading her? If she wanted to be your disciple, why would she need my advice? Valley Master Ice Dragon said. Yi Qian snorted coldly and said, then what if one told you to persuade Xiang to cultivate the Four Seasons technique? Have you persuaded him? A strange light flashed in the eyes of Ice Dragon Valley Master as he stared at He Xiao and said, why do you insist on letting Xiang cultivate the Four Seasons technique? You don't have to worry about this, just persuade her to cultivate. He Gao said. And MBSB kill me. Ice Dragon Valley Master sneered, you can kill me. No matter what, one won't force Xiang Bela to do anything she doesn't want to do. You want to court death? It's not that easy. Yi Qian said coldly, a cold light flashing through his eyes. Then, the Ice Dragon Valley Master's body began to tremble, as if he was suffering from endless pain. Roar. After a moment, even with Ice Dragon Valley Master's composure, he couldn't bear it anymore. A painful roar came out of his throat, and his gentle face was completely twisted by the pain. Roar! Roar! And NBSB Ice Dragon Valley Master kept growling, his entire body covered in cold sweat. He reached out with his claws, wanting to grab his body, but an invisible energy covered him, making it difficult for him to move. Soul-devouring insects can constantly tear your soul and make you suffer incomparable pain. It's 10 times, or even 100 times more painful than the pain of your physical body. Enjoy it. Yi Qian coldly spoke. If Xiang Bela were to find out that you are so despicable, I'm afraid that she would immediately leave. And NBSB kill. Ice Dragon Valley Master roared. If she leaves, it will be the day of your death. Yi Qian said coldly. And NBSB no. Ice Dragon Valley Master roared once more. He felt as if his soul was being continuously bitten by a type of insect, and endless pain drowned him. After a while, Yi Qian waved his hand, controlling the soul-devouring insects to stop their biting. Ice Dragon Valley Master's body fell limply to the ground, gasping for breath. His entire body was drenched in cold sweat. I'll give you 2 more months to persuade Xiang. Persuade her to take me as her master, and cultivate the Four Seasons technique with me. Otherwise, you'll wish you were dead. Also, don't try to tell Xiang, or you're seeking your own death. Otherwise, Xiang and Tian Shui will both die. Yi Qian said coldly. Then, he took a step forward and disappeared. And NBSB Ice Dragon Valley Master took a few deep breaths, then sat down cross-legged, and began to circulate his energy to recover. Half an hour later, he had finally recovered. He Yan, why are you so persistent in wanting Xiang to cultivate the Four Seasons technique? This person is sinister and cunning. He definitely isn't doing this for Xiangxiang's good like he said. Now what should we do? And NBSB Ice Dragon Valley Master frowned in thought. In front of Xiang, Yi Qian always put on an affable appearance, but after Xiang left, he would reveal his true face. He planted a soul-devouring insect in his body, and threatened him to persuade Xiang to be He Xiao's master. The master of Ice Dragon Valley would never allow Xiang Bela to be He Xiao's disciple. However, this place was the He family. There were many experts in the He family. With his cultivation at the initial success stage of the Absolute Saint realm, any one of them could kill him. He wanted to take Xiang and the others away, but he was completely powerless. If he was not careful, he might even implicate Xiang and the others. He returned to his residence with a heavy heart. Their residence was a huge courtyard. There were experts guarding the courtyard, so not even a fly could fly out. Grandpa Valley Master, what did Senior Yi Qian say to you? The moment Ice Dragon Valley Master returned to the courtyard, he saw Xiang Bela, and asked curiously, Nothing much. I'm just asking Senior He Qian about Lu Ming and the rest's whereabouts. Ice Dragon Valley Master randomly found an excuse, and then his face darkened. Xiang, you didn't cultivate the Four Seasons technique that He Yin gave you, right? Didn't Grandpa Valley Master tell me not to cultivate? That's why I didn't cultivate. Xiang Bela shook her head and said, and remember, do not cultivate it. Just cultivate the cultivation technique that your master gave you. Ice Dragon Valley Master warned. Yes, Xiang knows. Although Xiang Bela was curious as to why Ice Dragon Valley's master would not allow her to cultivate the Four Seasons technique, she still obediently nodded her head. This was because she knew that Ice Dragon Valley's master would not harm her. Chapter 1919. He Qian's True Purpose. Chapter 1919. He Qian's True Purpose and NBSB. In the next few days, Ice Dragon Valley Master kept walking around the courtyard, observing the terrain and looking for flaws, trying to find a way to leave the He family. However, the He family was so powerful and had so many experts. Their spiritual senses covered every corner. It was impossible for him to leave the He family openly without alerting the people of the He family. On this day, Ice Dragon Valley Master arrived at another mansion. This is He Qian's mansion. And NBSB, what? Ice Dragon Valley Master was stunned and subconsciously retracted his aura. Then, he saw a middle-aged man walking through He Qian's door with two young women. Tell me, why do you think Elder He Qian would often call for people to send young women in? And you even taught them how to cultivate? There were two middle-aged men guarding the door. One of them said softly. Hearing this, Ice Dragon Valley Master's heart moved. He restrained his aura to the extreme and circulated his saint energy to his ears so that he could hear more clearly. I've heard some rumors. I'll tell you, but you can't spread it. The other guard said in a low voice. What news? The person from before revealed a curious expression. One heard that these women are Elder He Qian's cultivation vessels. After Elder He Qian transferred the improved Four Seasons cultivation method to these women, He Qian would visit them and devour their primordial yin to improve his cultivation base. One heard that Elder He Qian's tribulation is coming, but he's not confident that he can survive it. That's why he's using this method to raise his cultivation base, so that he can resist the tribulation that happens once every 300,000 years. The person behind explained in a low voice. And NBSB hearing this, Ice Dragon Valley Master's heart trembled, and he felt cold sweat seep out of his back. He finally knew why He Qian had always wanted to take Xiang as his disciple, and wanted to pass on the Xiang Four Seasons technique. Taking in a disciple was a lie. His real purpose was to let Xiang cultivate He Xiao's Four Seasons technique. Xiang Bela was a living being. If she had cultivated the Four Seasons technique that He Yin had given her, and her primordial yin was devoured by He Yin, it would definitely be of great help to him. This was He Qian's true purpose. And NBSB the Valley Master was terrified. Luckily, he felt that something was wrong and didn't let Xiang cultivate the Four Seasons technique. Otherwise, the consequences would be unimaginable. He Qian, you old fogey, you're simply devoid of conscience. And NBSB Ice Dragon Valley Master gritted his teeth in worry. He had to find a way to escape. It was too dangerous to continue like this. If Xiang didn't cultivate the Four Seasons technique, who knew if He Yin would use other shameless methods to force Xiang? The Valley Master of Ice Dragon Valley returned to his courtyard, feeling uneasy. Grandpa Valley Master, what's wrong? Xiang Bela saw that the Ice Dragon Valley Master was uneasy and asked in surprise. I'm fine. And NBSB Ice Dragon Valley Master shook his head. He couldn't tell Xiang about this. If he told Xiang, she would be angry and ask He Qian about it. He was afraid that He Qian would immediately turn hostile. He had to keep this matter to himself and plan in secret. Xiang, you must not cultivate the Four Seasons technique. The Valley Master of Ice Dragon Valley reminded her again. Seeing Xiang Bela obediently nod her head, the Valley Master of Ice Dragon Valley finally relaxed. Time flew by, and in the blink of an eye, a month had passed. Xiang, 2 days later, there will be a grand auction in Heavenly Emperor City. Let me bring you there to take a look. He Yin found Xiang and showed a kind smile. Good, good. Xiang Bella cheered. During this period of time, she had been cooped up in the He family's residence to cultivate, and had long wanted to go out for a walk. I'll bring Xiang out for a walk, He Qian said to Ice Dragon Valley Master and Tian Shui, before walking out with Xiang. And NBSB Ice Dragon Valley Master revealed a worried expression, but he was helpless. In the Yuan Mountain Sacred Institute, Lu Ming also planned to go out. During this period, he had helped some people refine their spirit bodies, and used up a large amount of saint herbs. Even the saint herbs that Huang Ling and the others brought were running out, so he planned to go out and buy some. Over the past year, the Hung family had sent experts to guard the surroundings of the Yuan Mountain Sacred Institute. As soon as Lu Ming went out, they would attack him. Lu Ming was not afraid of this. He had the divine breath technique, which could change his appearance and aura. With his current cultivation base, even a martial sovereign would not be able to recognize him if he stood in front of him. He didn't go out before because he didn't want to. If he wanted to, he could go out at any time. Lu Ming's appearance changed. He turned into a young man with a fair complexion. At the same time, he changed into a long white robe and held a folding fan. He instantly turned into an elegant young master. Even his aura was different from before. Lu Ming smiled and stepped on the air, flying towards the gate of the Yuan Mountain Sacred Institute. Then he swaggered out of the gate. Two martial supremes from the Hung family had been standing guard in the clouds outside the Yuan Mountain Sacred Institute. When they saw Lu Ming coming out, they scanned him with their spiritual senses. They did not find anything unusual, so they did not bother about him. The Yuan Mountain Sacred Academy gathered all the geniuses from all over the Yuan Mountain. There were young people entering and leaving every day. As expected, ordinary martial sovereigns can't tell. Lu Ming smiled and swaggered out of the Yuan Mountain Sacred Institute. He arrived at a bustling place. Not long after he arrived, he heard that there would be a grand auction in the Heavenly Emperor City today. At that time, there would be many rare and precious treasures being auctioned. Even martial emperor powerhouses would attend. Lu Ming's interest was piqued, and he walked towards the auction house. After paying a certain fee, he walked into the auction house. So many people. As soon as they entered the auction house, they were greeted by an extremely spacious hall. In the hall, countless figures had gathered. A rough estimate put there at least hundreds of thousands of people. Around the hall were rooms for distinguished guests. Of course, they were prepared for powerful people, or people with prominent identities. Most of the people could only stay in the hall. Lu Ming randomly found a seat in the hall and sat down. As time passed, the number of people increased. An hour later, the auction began. The first auction item made Lu Ming's eyes widen. That was because it was a monarch weapon. Lu Ming sighed. This grand auction of the Heavenly Emperor City was indeed extraordinary. The first item to be auctioned was actually a sovereign weapon. Although Lu Ming was envious, the sovereign weapon's price was shocking. Moreover, a group of people were fighting for it. The price had risen to a terrifying level. Lu Ming could only look on and sigh. In the end, the sovereign weapon was bought by someone in the VIP room at a terrifyingly high price. It was probably a martial emperor. The auction continued, and the second item was far less valuable than the monarch weapon. This was only natural. There would be at least a few hundred treasures in an auction. It was impossible for every single one of them to be as valuable as a monarch weapon. But even so, the second item was a rare treasure. The bidding was intense, and one treasure after another was won. Lu Ming was envious of many of the treasures. Unfortunately, the prices were too high and he had to give up. He had bid for a few good sacred elixirs. Chapter 1920, Rock of Chaos. Chapter 1920, Rock of Chaos, the 120th treasure, a tear of life. On the auction stage, an old man who was hosting the auction announced. As soon as he said that, the entire place fell silent. Many people's eyes lit up. It's actually the tear of life. This is a rare treasure that contains endless vitality. Indeed, it can save lives at critical moments. Many people were discussing with fiery eyes. It's actually the tear of life. Lu Ming's eyes lit up as well. In the Divine Wilderness continent, he had once obtained the elixir of life and helped his father to heal his injuries. allowing him to embark on the path of martial arts again. After that, he even used the life potion to help the Nine Suns Supreme Master form a new body. Even his clone used the life potion. The Tear of Life and the Water of Life had the same magical effect, but their effects were completely different. Comparing the Water of Life to the Tear of Life was like comparing copper and iron to diamonds. Yi Qian and Lu Xiangxiang were in VIP room 6. Lu Xiangxiang's eyes lit up. She had a body of life, so the Tear of Life was very useful to her. It could greatly speed up her cultivation speed. Xiangxiang, you want to buy the Tears of Life? Yi Qian looked at Lu Xiangxiang, and a smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. Yes, but Xiangxiang doesn't have that many raw gemstones. Let's forget it. Xiangxiang Bella nodded and said, Haha, silly girl. If you don't have any raw stones, 111 give them to you. Yi Qian smiled. That won't do. I won't take a reward without any work. Xiangxiang Bella shook her head. Just take it as I'm lending it to you. You can pay me back in the future. Wait a moment, you can raise the price. Yi Qian said with a smile. And that's good. Xiangxiang thanks Senior He Xiao first. Xiangxiang Bella cupped her fists towards He Yen gratefully. Yi Qian smiled and nodded, revealing a satisfied expression. This was the reason why he had brought Lu Xiangxiang out to attend the auction. He wanted to take the opportunity to get closer to her and increase her impression of him. When the time came, Lu Xiangxiang would be able to cultivate the Four Seasons technique smoothly. One Tear of Life. The starting price is 200,000 superior grade raw stones. The old man who was hosting the auction announced, 250,000, 300,000. Immediately, the price of the Tear of Life rose steadily, and soon reached a high price of 500,000. Lu Ming shook his head. Although the Tears of Life were precious, there was no need to spend such a high price to buy them. If Xiangxiang is here, I can buy it to help her cultivate. Lu Ming had an idea. At the thought of this, he sighed. He wondered how Xiangxiang and the rest were doing. Back then, Ice Dragon Valley's master had brought Xue Ningxin, Tian Shui, and Xiangxiang Bella to escape. Later on, they had encountered danger, and Xue Ningxin and Xiangxiang Bella had been separated. How were they now? However, the Yuan Mountain was so vast, where could he go to find them? The price of the Tear of Life continued to rise, and it soon reached 800,000 superior grade raw stones. 1 million superior grade raw stones. At this moment, a clear and melodious voice was heard. Upon hearing this voice, Lu Ming's heart trembled. This is Xiangxiang's voice? Lu Ming could not help but look at VIP room number 6. Although Xiangxiang Bella's voice in his memory was more immature, and this voice was more mature and had some changes, Lu Ming could still tell that this voice was Xiangxiang Bella's voice. Why would Xiangxiang appear here? And in the VIP room, how is that possible? Could it be that I'm hearing things because I'm so eager to see you? Lu Ming had many thoughts in his mind. 1,100,000. After the bidder from guest room number 6 called out the bid, the number of people who increased the bid decreased significantly. However, there were still people who increased the bid, and the price rose to 1 million. 1,200,000. In VIP room number 6, the clear voice sounded again. It's Xiangxiang, it's definitely Xiangxiang. Lu Ming was certain that this was Xiangxiang Bella's voice. As for why Xiangxiang Bella didn't recognize his voice, it was because he didn't use his original voice. Who knew if there were any Hung family experts here who could recognize his voice? Next, the Tear of Lives price rose to 1.5 million superior grade raw stones, and it was bought by Xiangxiang Bella. Yi Qian smiled slightly. 1.5 million superior grade raw stones were nothing to him, but it was worth it to win a good impression. The bidding continued, but Lu Ming seemed to be a little uneasy. He couldn't wait to go to VIP room number 6 immediately to see if it was really Xiangxiang. After all, there were people with similar voices in the world. However, the bidding was not over yet, so he could only wait. The bidding continued. Lu Ming was even less focused on the following bidding. He was constantly paying attention to the people in VIP room number 6. Auction item number 216 is a chaos gem. The voice of the old man who was hosting the auction rang out, causing Lu Ming to be in high spirits. There was actually a stone of chaos. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. Not only him, but the eyes of the others were also shining. Chaos gems were born in the chaos before the creation of the world. They contained chaos chi, and were rare treasures in the world. There was actually a bid for them in this auction? Everyone was staring at the old man with fiery eyes. The martial emperor powerhouses in all the guest rooms could not suppress their feelings, and revealed greedy looks. If they could smelt the chaos gems into their small worlds, they would be able to make their small worlds more solid, more stable, and more powerful. But, at this moment the old man slowly spoke again. However, for some reason, the chaos chi on this chaos gem has dried up. What? There's no more chaos chi? A chaos gem without chaos chi is just an ordinary stone. It's not of much use. I was excited for nothing. Many people shook their heads. Chaos gems were the most precious when they contained chaos chi. Without chaos chi, their value would drop by countless times. Lu Ming also revealed a look of pity. Everyone, even without the chi of chaos, the rock of chaos is still a rare material for smithing. It's extremely strong, and if it's used as the main material, it can be used to forge a monarch weapon. The old man in charge said again. Many people shook their heads. It was just a material for a monarch weapon, and wasn't of much use. They might as well buy it directly. The emperor-level experts shook their heads. They had lost interest in the rock of chaos. One must get this chaos gem, Lu Ming pondered in his heart. Although there was no chaos chi in the chaos gem, Lu Ming cultivated the chaos law. Even if the chaos gem did not have chaos chi, it might be useful to him. Alright, he'll start bidding now. The base price is 200,000 superior grade raw stones. The old host announced. 250,000. Someone immediately started bidding. Although the chaos gem did not have any chaos chi, it was still a rare treasure. Some people were curious and wanted to buy it to take a look. It would be good to keep it as a collection. Chapter 1921. Reunion of Master and Disciple. Chapter 1921. Reunion of Master and Disciple. Everyone started bidding for the chaos gem. Very quickly, the price of the chaos gem was raised to 500,000 superior grade raw stones. However, at this price, the number of people bidding decreased. After all, this chaos gem no longer had any chaos chi, and could only be considered a smithing material. Although it could be used to forge monarch weapons, there was still a chance of success. If it failed, the material would be wasted. As such, unless it was a complete sovereign weapon, the materials would not be as expensive as they were. Soon, the price reached around 800,000 raw gemstones, and almost no one else raised the bid. 800,000 raw stones. Is there anyone else who wants to bid? The old man in charge asked, his voice reverberating throughout the auction house. 1 million. At this moment, Lu Ming opened his mouth and called out a high price of 1 million. Previously, he had not made a bid because he wanted to wait for the auction to start, so that he could win it in one fell swoop. The host's eyes lit up. He looked at Lu Ming and said, "This young master has bid 1 million superior grade raw stones. Are there any higher bids?" After that, the old man asked 3 times, but no one made a bid. 1 million superior grade raw stones was already on the high side for a chaotic stone without any chaotic chi. Naturally, no one made a bid. In the end, Lu Ming bought the raw gemstone at the price of 1 million. A young and beautiful lady came to Lu Ming with the stone of chaos. "Young master, this is a rock of chaos." The young woman said, meaning that they would hand over the money and the goods at the same time. "May first ask if I can use my monarch weapon to pay?" Lu Ming said. "Of course you can." The young woman smiled. "All right." Lu Ming nodded. A pair of tiny wings appeared in his palm. Then, the wings slowly grew larger and exuded a strong emperor aura. Lu Ming had obtained this pair of wings from the Golden Crow Crown Prince when he killed him. "This is a monarch weapon." Many people's eyes lit up. I didn't expect this young man to have a monarch weapon. Some people's eyes flashed with greed. He's so young and he already has a monarch weapon. He must be a heaven's chosen from the Yuan Mountain Sacred Academy. Someone else said. These words caused the hearts of those who had previously been greedy to tremble, and they dispelled their greed. Almost all of the geniuses of the Yuan Mountain Sacred Academy came from powerful forces. If one wanted to lay their hands on these people, they might not even be able to survive. Of course, you can use your monarch weapon to offset the price. You can auction your monarch weapon directly, and the extra raw gemstones will be given to you on the spot. The young woman said with a smile. Then let's do this. Lu Ming nodded and handed the monarch weapon to the young lady. The young lady then passed the storage ring with the chaos gems to Lu Ming. Right after that, the auction started with Lu Ming's sovereign weapon. In the end, the sovereign weapon was sold for 5 million high-grade raw stones. After deducting the 1 million stones of chaos and the handling fee, Lu Ming was left with nearly 4 million high-grade raw stones. The bidding continued. The further it went, the more precious the treasures were. Even true emperors and martial emperors had joined the bidding for the last few treasures. The prices had reached a jaw-dropping level, which was an eye-opener for Lu Ming. Compared to those martial sovereigns and even true sovereigns, his wealth was simply a drop in the ocean. Finally, with the success of the last treasure, the auction came to an end. After the auction ended, Lu Ming left the auction house in advance and waited outside. Buzz and MBSB whoosh. From the auction house, many figures flew out and flew in all directions of Heavenly Emperor City. Suddenly, Lu Ming saw an old man flying out of the auction house with a young girl. Fragrance. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. Although the young lady had grown up and was much taller, Lu Ming could tell at a glance that she was his disciple Lu Xiangxiang. Lu Ming hurriedly chased after him. Fortunately, Hien did not go too fast. He seemed to have the intention of bringing Xiangxiang Bella around to tour the Heavenly Emperor City. Therefore, Lu Ming could still keep up. After following them for a while, they flew for a long distance. In front of them, He Xiao and Lu Xiangxiang suddenly stopped. Little fellow, you followed me all the way here from the auction house. What is it for? He Qian spoke coldly, and a powerful aura burst forth. This aura was earth-shattering and heaven-shaking, causing Lu Ming's body to shake violently. He retreated 1,000 meters at an extreme speed, and almost spat out a mouthful of blood. This was also because the other party had shown mercy. Otherwise, he would have died with just one breath. Senior, you've misunderstood. I'm here to look for Xiangxiang. Lu Ming quickly spoke, using his original voice. Hearing Lu Ming's voice, Xiangxiang Bella's delicate body trembled. She revealed an extremely surprised look and shouted, Master, you? Are you my master? What? He Qian was slightly stunned. A cold killing intent flashed in the depths of his eyes, but it disappeared in a flash, and was not revealed. Xiangxiang, it's me. However, it's not convenient for me to reveal my true body now. Lu Ming sent a voice transmission to Xiangxiang Bella. He was not familiar with He Qian, so he naturally kept his guard up. Master, it's really you. With a swoosh, she pounced on Lu Ming and plunged into his arms. Master, where did you go? Xiangxiang misses you so much. Xiangxiang Wan swallowed, tears welling up in her eyes. Silly girl, aren't we reunited now? That's right, Valley Master, where's senior brother Tian Chui? Lu Ming asked. They're at the He family? Xiangxiang Bella said. The He family? Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. There was a He family in the Heavenly Emperor City that was as famous as the Hung family. Lu Ming had naturally heard of them. Could it be this He family? Haha, Xiangxiang, this little brother is the master you've always mentioned. At this moment, He Xiao smiled and walked over. And that's right. He is my master. Master, this is Senior He Qian, the true emperor expert of the He clan. Xiangxiang Bella introduced them to Lu Ming. Greetings, Senior. Lu Ming greeted He Qian. Young heroes indeed come from young people. Little brother, Xiangxiang has missed you a lot during this period of time. How about this? It's rare for us to meet, so let's go to the He family first. How about it? He Qian said with a smile, showing his goodwill. And Master, let's go together. Grandpa Valley Master and Uncle Tian Chui will definitely be very happy to see you. Lu Xiangxiang pulled on Lu Ming's arm, a bright smile on her face. Lu Ming nodded. Together with Xiangxiang Bella, they followed He Qian and headed to the He family. When they arrived at the He family, Tian Chui and Ice Dragon Valley Master were stunned when they saw Lu Ming. However, They were overjoyed when they heard Lu Ming's voice. The few of them gathered together and chatted for a while. Lu Ming learned that when Ice Dragon Valley Master, Tian Shui, and Xiangxiang Bella were separated from Xuaningxin, they happened to meet He Qian, and were brought back to the He family by He Qian. When Tian Shui and Ice Dragon Valley Master knew that Xuaningxin was fine, they were naturally overjoyed. Lu Ming, I have something to discuss with you. At this time He Xiao opened his mouth and said. Chapter 1922. Killing with a Borrowed Knife. Divine Clothes for Tribulation. Chapter 1922. Killing with a Borrowed Knife. Divine Clothes for Tribulation. He Qian spoke, and said that he had something to discuss with Lu Ming. Lu Ming was slightly stunned. He Qian was a true emperor expert. What matter did he have to discuss with him? And in BSB, when Ice Dragon Valley Master heard this, his expression suddenly changed, and deep worry flashed through his eyes. Lu Ming and He Qian left their residence and came to a quiet place. It's better for you to return to your original appearance. There's no effect in changing your appearance in front of this old man. He Qian was the first to speak. He looked at Lu Ming with his bright eyes. Lu Ming's expression did not change. He had long known that He Qian would definitely be able to tell. He Qian was a true emperor expert. At such a close distance, even the divine breath technique couldn't hide from him. Moreover, when he saw Tian Shui and Ice Dragon Valley's master earlier, the two of them were initially stunned, but they were soon overjoyed. From this point alone, it was not difficult to guess that Lu Ming had disguised himself. With a single thought, Lu Ming returned to his original appearance and cupped his fists. Senior, Junior had his own reasons for doing so, and didn't mean to hide it. What's your name? You don't need to hide it from me. It's not difficult for this old man to find out your background. He Qian's eyes flashed with a sharp light. Junior's name is Lu Ming. Lu Ming muttered his real name, after a moment of silence. Just as He Qian had said, since he had revealed his true appearance, with the other party's ability, it would be easy to find out who he was. Moreover, the He family and the Hung family had a grudge. They wouldn't tell the Hung family, right? After hearing Lu Ming reveal his real name, He Qian's expression changed. You're Lu Ming, the son of Chaos from the Yuan Mountain Sacred Academy. The Lu Ming who pulled out the celestial Varch sword and led the kings to fight against the Eternal Star River? If Senior says so, then it's Junior. Lu Ming touched his nose and said. More than a year ago, Lu Ming had caused a huge commotion. Even now, the Hung family had emperor-level experts guarding outside the Yuan Mountain Saint Academy. That incident had even triggered a battle between emperor-level experts. Lu Ming's name had long spread throughout the Heavenly Emperor City. Anyone with some cultivation had heard of his name. Haha, I've long heard of your great name. Now that I've seen you, you're truly a peerless heaven's favorite, a true dragon among men. He Gao chuckled. Senior is too kind. I wonder why Senior has called me here. Lu Ming cupped his fists and asked. He Qian didn't specifically look for him, just to ask about his true identity, right? I heard that you are Xiangxiang's master? He Qian spoke. That's right, Xiangxiang Bella is my true disciple. Lu Ming was stunned. Lu Ming, I won't hide it from you. Xiangxiang Bella's physique is very suitable to inherit my legacy. Therefore, I also want to take her as my last disciple. However, Xiangxiang Bella said that it's up to you. So you'd better persuade her to take me as her master. He Qian went straight to the point and spoke his thoughts. Senior, are you asking me to persuade my disciple to switch sides? Lu Ming's expression changed. I'm just giving her a better choice. Lu Ming, and the true emperor. Xiangxiang will be able to unleash her potential better if she's under my tutelage. Furthermore, you're in a precarious situation now. You're surrounded by the Hung family. Xiangxiang is with you. Do you want her to take the risk with you? He Gao said. This, Lu Ming looked pensive. Lu Ming, if you're doing this for Xiangxiang, you should persuade her to join my family. She can only reach the peak with the He family's resources supporting her. He Qian continued. Senior, the matter of acknowledging a master is purely personal. One can go and persuade Xiangxiang, but whether she is willing or not will depend on her. Lu Ming said. A sharp glint flashed in the depths of He Qian's eyes, and then he smiled and said, That's good. You go and persuade her first. Since you've reunited with an old friend, you can stay at the He family for a few more days. Many thanks, Senior. Lu Ming cupped his fists, and He Qian called for someone to bring Lu Ming back to where Xiangxiang Bella was staying. After Lu Ming left, a cold murderous intent flashed in He Qian's eyes. You want to brush me off. You really don't know what's good for you. He Qian snorted coldly. Based on his experience, he could tell at a glance that Lu Ming was just brushing him off. He did not really want to persuade Xiangxiang to be his master. I didn't expect the master Xiangxiang Bella mentioned to be that brat Lu Ming. As long as that brat is dead, Xiangxiang Bella will still have to obediently acknowledge me as her master and cultivate the 4 seasons technique. Moreover, this kid is very valuable now. A cold killing intent flashed in He Qian's eyes. Then, he took a step out of the He clan and headed in another direction of the Heavenly Emperor City. Not long after, a vast palace complex appeared in front of them. This was the Hung family. He Qian wanted to kill with a borrowed knife, the Hung family's knife. Who is it? He Qian's arrival at the Hung family naturally alerted the Hung family's experts. Boom! The aura of a true emperor erupted from He Qian's body, enveloping the entire hall of the Hung family. Get your true emperor to come out and see me. He Qian's voice rang out. The next moment, a terrifying aura erupted from the Hung family's palace complex. A middle-aged man stepped out and stood in the air, looking at He Qian. He Qian, you old fogey, why have you come to my Hung family? The true emperor expert from the Hung clan said coldly. The Hung family and the He family had never been on good terms since ancient times, so he naturally didn't treat He Qian well. I'm here to make a deal with you, He Qian said with a slight smile. What deal? The Hung clan's true emperor said. It's regarding Lu Ming's deal. He Gao said. Lu Ming? Isn't he in the Yuan Mountain Sacred Academy? Don't tell me you have a way to enter the Yuan Mountain Sacred Academy and capture Lu Ming? The Hung family's true emperor sneered in disdain. There were 3 great emperors in the Yuan Mountain Sacred Academy. Even the great emperor from the Hung family had no way of entering the Yuan Mountain Sacred Academy directly to capture Lu Ming. He didn't believe that the other party had a way. Who said that Lu Ming is in the Yuan Mountain Sacred Institute now? He Qian smiled. Not at the Yuan Mountain Sacred Academy. Impossible. Our Hung family has always had experts guarding the Yuan Mountain Sacred Academy. The Hung clan's true emperor's expression changed. That's because you Hung family people are useless. Lu Ming has already left the Yuan Mountain Sacred Institute. He Gao sneered. He Qian, do you know where Lu Ming is? The Hung clan's true emperor's eyes lit up. That's right. But I can't give you the information for free. You have to pay a price. He Gao said. What do you need? The Hung clan's true emperor's eyes narrowed. Divine tribulation clothes. He Qian slowly opened his mouth. The Hung clan's true emperor's expression changed drastically as he shouted. Divine clothing for tribulation transcendence. He Qian, you're simply asking for an exorbitant price. This is impossible. To a martial emperor, the divine clothes for tribulation transcendence were shockingly valuable. This was because the divine robe could help martial sovereigns transcend their tribulations. It was several times more valuable than ordinary tribulation transcending heavenly treasures. An ordinary tribulation transcending heavenly treasure was completely useless to a martial emperor powerhouse. However, the divine clothing for tribulation transcendence was extremely useful to even void emperors and true emperors. It could increase the success rate of transcending the tribulation. Chapter 1923. Escape from the He family? Chapter 1923. Escape from the He family. Every 33,333 years, a martial emperor powerhouse would have to face a calamity of heaven and earth, and each calamity would be more powerful than the last. Since ancient times, countless experts, peerless emperor-level experts, had all turned into dust under Rhe heavenly tribulation. There were very, very few people who could stay alive. Since they had reached the true emperor realm, no one would be willing to die under a great tribulation. Therefore, a divine robe that could increase the chances of a martial emperor transcending a tribulation was extremely valuable to a martial emperor. If he could survive one tribulation, he would be able to live for another 300,000 years. In these 300,000 years, he could go to some dangerous places to take risks and obtain opportunities. His cultivation might even rise to a higher level, and he might be able to survive the next tribulation. The moment He Qian opened his mouth, he wanted to wear the divine tribulation robe. No wonder the Hung clan's true emperor had such a big reaction. I'm telling you, Lu Ming will return to the Yuan Mountain Sane Academy soon. When he returns, it will be impossible for you to take him down and get the Celestial Emperor sword. You have to think carefully, which is more important, the divine clothing or the Celestial Emperor's sword. He Gao sneered. The Hung family's true emperor's expression flickered, as if he was considering the possibility. The divine clothes for tribulation transcendence, give it to him. At this moment, another voice came from the Hung family's palace. Then a white-haired elder stepped out. This person was also a true emperor. He Qian's expression changed slightly. His figure moved and retreated 100 miles, afraid that he would be besieged by the other party. The He family and the Hung family had been enemies since ancient times, so he naturally had to be on guard. He Qian, I can give you the divine clothing for tribulation transcendence, but I hope you don't lie to us. Otherwise, the Hung family will kill you even if we have to mobilize all our forces. The white-haired old man said coldly, Give me the divine clothing for tribulation transcendence, and it'll bring you to Lu Ming. He Gao said, All right, I'll give it to you. The white-haired elder nodded and returned to the Hung family. After a while he came again and waved his hand. A storage ring flew towards He Qian. He Qian received it, and scanned it with his spiritual sense. His face revealed a look of wild joy. This time, it was really killing two birds with one stone. He could get rid of Lu Ming, make Lu Xiangxiang give up on him, take him as her master, cultivate the Four Seasons technique, and obtain the divine clothing for the tribulation. As long as his plan succeeded, he was 90% confident that he would be able to survive this disaster and increase his lifespan by another 33,333 years. He Qian, can you tell me now? Where is Lu Ming? The true emperor from the Hung family asked. Lu Ming, stay as a guest in my mansion. He Qian smiled proudly. Let's go, we'll go with you. The Hung clan's white-haired true emperor said. Together with the previous true emperor, they followed He Qian and headed towards the He clan. After Lu Ming and He Qian separated, he frowned. He did nor expect that the other party actually wanted to take Xiangxiang as a disciple. A true emperor taking Xiangxiang as a disciple was naturally a good thing for her. However, Lu Ming did not know why, but he felt uncomfortable when he was with He Qian. He felt that He Qian did not simply want to take Xiangxiang Bella as his disciple. He Qian gave Lu Ming an extremely dangerous feeling. Therefore, when he promised He Qian just now to persuade Xiangxiang, it was purely perfunctory. We have to bring Xiangxiang and the rest away as soon as possible. As long as we enter the Yuan Mountain Sacred Academy, we will be safe. But how do we bring them away? Lu Ming quickly thought of countermeasures in his mind. After a while he saw Xiangxiang Bella's courtyard. Outside the courtyard, Ice Dragon Valley Master was pacing back and forth, seemingly very anxious. The master of the ice-cold valley was overjoyed to see Lu Ming. The person who led the way also said his goodbyes and left. Lu Ming, what did He Qian say to you? Is he asking you to persuade Xiangxiang to acknowledge him as her master? Ice-cold Valley Master hurried over and asked. That's right. Valley Master, you know about it too? Lu Ming nodded and answered. Lu Ming, you must not agree to He Qian's request. Otherwise Xiangxiang will be in danger. Ice-cold Valley Master said anxiously. Valley Master, what's going on? Lu Ming's expression changed and he asked. He Qian is most likely making use of Xiangxiang. The ice-cold Valley Master immediately explained that He Qian might have used Xiangxiang to cultivate and resist the heavenly tribulation. What? Detestable. Lu Ming was shocked after hearing that. He roared in anger, and his eyes were filled with cold killing intent. He Qian wanted to take Xiangxiang as his disciple. He was not sincere at all. He only wanted to make use of Xiangxiang. No wonder Lu Ming had a bad feeling previously. Not good. He Qian knows my true identity. He definitely won't let me go. We have to leave immediately. Suddenly, Lu Ming's expression changed. At this moment, all kinds of possibilities flashed through Lu Ming's mind. If he was He Qian, he would have killed Lu Ming directly. This way, it would be much easier for Xiangxiang Bela to join another sect without her master. He could even go to the Hung family to seek benefits, killing two birds with one stone. At the thought of this, Lu Ming was extremely anxious. Valley Master, let's go. We have to leave the Hung family immediately. Having said that, Lu Ming rushed into the courtyard. When he saw Xiangxiang Bela and Tian Shui, Lu Ming immediately summoned the mountain and river diagram, and said, Valley Master, Xiangxiang, senior brother, quickly enter the mountain and river diagram. I'll take you are of the He family. Master, this is... Xiangxiang Bela revealed a puzzled expression. There's no time to explain, hurry. Lu Ming shouted. A white light flashed and Xiangxiang Bela and Tian Shui were kept into the mountain and river diagram. Lu Ming, do you have any way to get out? Ice Dragon Valley Master asked anxiously. Valley Master, don't worry. I have my ways. However, I need to borrow your clothes. Lu Ming said. The Valley Master's eyes flickered. Then, a set of clothes appeared in his hand, and he handed it to Lu Ming. Lu Ming then put the Valley Master into the mountain and river diagram. Lu Ming's body began to transform into the appearance of the Ice Dragon Valley Master. Even his aura was exactly the same. Lu Ming quickly changed into Ice Dragon Valley Master's clothes and walked outside. Ice Dragon Valley Master and the others were allowed to move within a certain range. And NBSB as Ice Dragon Valley Master walked out, he secretly glanced at him. But he only glanced at him and ignored him. Lu Ming walked around and came to a remote place. There were no longer any eyes watching him. At this moment, he happened to meet a middle-aged man walking towards him. Lu Ming glanced around and could tell that Arichi middle-aged man had the cultivation base of the great sage initial realm. Lu Ming walked toward the man without a word. When he got close, Lu Ming struck R like lightning and knocked Arichi man unconscious. Then, he took off the man's clothes and changed into them. Following that, Lu Ming's figure began to transform into the man's appearance. The middle-aged man was thrown into the mountain and river diagram by Lu Ming. Then, Lu Ming swaggered out of the He family's gate. Along the way, no one stopped him. Very soon, Lu Ming left the He family residence smoothly. Lu Ming's expression changed slightly as soon as he left the He residence. He saw a few figures in the distance rushing into Arichi He residence at a terrifying speed. One of them was He Qian. There really are experts from the Hung family. Lu Ming's eyes were gloomy. He had seen the other two people who came with He Qian. They were two of the three true emperors from the Hung family, who had entered the Yuan Mountain Sacred Academy to capture him. Chapter 1924. Chapter 1924. Suicide. Chapter 1924. Chapter 1924. Suicide. Let's go. 11. Lu Ming did not hesitate. He accelerated to his maximum speed and rushed towards the Yuan Mountain Sacred Academy. He wanted to use the fastest speed to return to the Yuan Mountain Sacred Academy. On the other side, He Qian brought the two true emperors from the Hung clan to the He clan and arrived outside Lu Xiangxiang's residence. Lu Ming, I'll leave it to you. It's not convenient for me to go in. You can't touch the little girl inside. As for the others, you can do as you please. One He Qian warned. The two true emperors from the Hung clan nodded and stepped out. They arrived in the air above Xiangxiang Bela's courtyard and scanned the area with their spiritual senses. With a single glance, their faces darkened and a hint of anger flashed in their eyes. The two of them moved and arrived in front of He Gao, their eyes burning with anger. He Xiao, you dare to play with us? One the white-haired true emperor said coldly. Playing with you? Why do you say that? One He Xiao's face darkened as he said this. He did not know why, but he suddenly had a bad feeling in his heart. There's no one in the courtyard. Are you playing with us? The expression of the other true emperor from the Hung family became even uglier. He Qian's expression changed drastically. There's no one here. How is that possible? He Qian said. After saying that, he rushed into the courtyard like a gust of wind and swept out his spiritual sense violently. There was no one. The courtyard was empty. Damn it, where are they? Yi Qian bellowed in rage. His spiritual consciousness spread out to the other residences of the He family like a storm. However, he did not find Lu Ming and the rest anywhere it passed. Buzz! Buzz! At this moment, two figures flew out and landed in front of He Hao. They were the experts that He Yan had used to secretly monitor Xiangxiang, and the others. Where are they? Where are the people in the courtyard? Yi Qian roared in rage. His face was twisted in anger. People? Weren't they in the courtyard? We didn't see them come out. Could it be? It's an estate world treasure. The two of them thought of something, and their expressions changed drastically. You two idiots! Yi Qian rebuked angrily, his eyes flashing with cold killing intent. He said in a low voice, the art of disguise. Lu Ming is proficient in the art of disguise. I didn't expect this kid to be so meticulous. I was too careless. Although he knew that Lu Ming was proficient in the art of disguise, he had thought that Lu Ming would at least stay at the He family for a day. He had already rushed over to look for the Hung family. As long as Lu Ming stayed any longer, he would not be able to escape. He did not expect that as soon as he left, Lu Ming brought Xiangxiang Bella and the rest and left the He family. He knew that he had miscalculated. He Xiao, what tricks are you playing? If you want to lie to us, hand over the divine tribulation robe. The two true emperors from the Hung clan appeared on either side of Yi Qian with dark expressions. Their powerful auras enveloped Yi Qian. You too, this is the He family. Yi Qian said coldly. The expressions of the two true emperors from the Hung clan changed. That's right, this was the He family. If he made a move against Yi Qian, he would definitely be attacked by the experts of the He family. At that time they would all be in danger. Yi Qian, the Hung family's tribulation transcending outfit isn't that easy to trick. If you don't return it, you'll have to wait for the Hung family's revenge unless you hide in the He family forever. The white-haired true emperor of the Hung family said coldly, and the aura around him became even stronger. What are you guys so anxious about? No matter where that little bastard Lu Ming is hiding, I will be able to find him. Yi Qian sneered. Then he began to form a magical seal with both hands. This was the seal to control the soul-devouring insects. No matter how far away they were, as long as he formed the seal, he could control the soul-devouring insects and sense Lu Ming's location through them. Lu Ming used all his strength and flew towards the Yuan Mountain Sacred Academy, like a bolt of lightning. The He clan wasn't too far away from the Yuan Mountain Sacred Academy. He was rapidly approaching the Yuan Mountain Sacred Academy. All of a sudden, Lu Ming's expression changed. He sensed that something was happening in the mountain and river diagram. With a thought, Lu Ming entered the mountain and river diagram. Part of his mind controlled the mountain and river diagram, and continued to fly towards the Yuan Mountain Sacred Academy. Roar! As soon as Lu Ming entered, he saw the Valley Master of Ice Dragon Valley, holding his head with his hands, and roaring like a wild beast. His face was full of pain. And NBSB the Ice Dragon Valley Master's head heavily smashed into the mountain, causing it to shake and sending debris flying. Grandpa Valley Master, what's wrong? Xiangxiang Bela stood at the side, not knowing what to do, her eyes filled with tears. Poison, Valley Master must have been poisoned. Damn it, that He Qian is so vicious. Tian Shui roared. And NBSB just now, Ice Dragon Valley Master had already explained the matter to them, so they understood the cause and effect. Yi Qian let Xiangxiang cultivate the Four Seasons technique, because he wanted to use Xiangxiang's primordial yin to improve himself. How vicious! The two of them felt a wave of fear after hearing that. Valley Master, what poison did you get? Lu Ming came to the side of Ice Dragon Valley Master and asked. It's the soul-devouring insects. Yi Qian has already returned to the He family, and knows that we have escaped. This is bad. He can determine our location through the soul-devouring insects. Lu Ming, kill me, kill me. And MBSP kill. Ice Dragon Valley Master roared. Damn it, how did this happen? Tian Shui, Xiangxiang Bela, and Lu Ming's faces were extremely ugly. Quickly kill me. Otherwise, He Qian will catch up with me very soon. You're courting death. Ice Dragon Valley Master roared. His originally gentle face was now twisted in pain. His head slammed heavily on the mountain peak once more, creating a huge pit. And NBSB Ice Dragon Valley Master's face was covered in blood, his white hair scattered. Even with his status as the Valley Master and his absolute Saint Realm cultivation, he still found it difficult to endure. It was clear how terrifying he was. The hearts of Lu Ming and the other two started to tremble. Yi Qian, I will definitely kill you. Lu Ming roared in his heart. His eyes were filled with endless killing intent. Hurry up and do it. And NBSP kill. Ice Dragon Valley Master roared. Valley Master. Grandpa Valley Master, we can't do it. Xiangxiang Bela shook her head repeatedly. How is it possible for them to kill the Ice Dragon Valley Master? Valley Master, we will reach the Yuan Mountain Sacred Academy soon. After we reach the Yuan Mountain Sacred Academy, one will think of a way to ask the Emperor to help you take out the soul-devouring insects. Lu Ming shouted. It's too late. Yi Qian will catch up with us very soon. By then, none of us will be able to escape. I'm old, and my cultivation has reached its limit. One have no hope of breaking through in the future, but you can't die. You have a bright future. Dragon God Valley will depend on you in the future. Hurry up and do it. And NBSB kill. Ice Dragon Valley Master roared. No, you can't. The three of them shook their heads firmly. If you guys aren't going to do it, then I'll do it myself. Die. Ice Dragon Valley Master roared. The saint energy in his body surged crazily, then rushed to his head. Not good. Lu Ming, Tian Shui, and Xiangxiang Bela's faces changed drastically. However, it was too late for him to stop it. Boom. And NBSB a boom exploded in Ice Dragon Valley Master's mind, and then he stood there in a daze. Valley Master. Grandpa Valley Master. Lu Ming and the other two turned pale with fright and rushed to the side of Ice Dragon Valley Master. And NBSB, but at this moment Ice Dragon Valley Master was no longer breathing. He had died and destroyed his own soul to avoid being located by Yi Qian. Chapter 1925. Chapter 1925, Killing Intent. Chapter 1925. Chapter 1925 Killing Intent. Ice Dragon Valley Master had destroyed his own soul. Once the soul was destroyed, the soul would be scattered, and the martial artist would naturally die. Boom. At this moment, Lu Ming's body exploded with a terrifying aura. His body exuded an extremely cold killing intent, causing the temperature in the mountain and river diagram to drop rapidly. Yi Qian He family, I Lu Ming, will definitely get my revenge. Lu Ming roared in his heart, and his eyes were bloodshot. Although the Valley Master of Ice Dragon Valley had not known Lu Ming for a long time, he was a gentle person. Back then, he had always stood on Lu Ming's side and helped him a lot with the Cloud Dragon Valley Master. He was a humble and kind elder who always thought for the younger generation and Dragon God Valley. He had chosen to die in order to preserve the hope of Dragon God Valley. He could die, but Lu Ming and the rest could not. Beside him, Tian Shui clenched his fists tightly, his killing intent incomparably thick. Grandpa Valley Master. Xiangxiang Bela hugged Ice Dragon Valley Master tightly and cried. Over the past few years, Ice Dragon Valley Master had led them on the run. They had experienced too much and had long established a deep relationship. But now, she also understood that Yi Qian had planted soul-devouring insects in Ice Dragon Valley's master long ago. But he had never told her. She didn't know how much he had suffered for her in secret. However, she didn't know any of those hardships. This time, Ice Dragon Valley Master had chosen to commit suicide not because he couldn't bear the pain, but because of them. Thinking of this, Xiangxiang Bela was in even more pain. One will definitely take revenge for this. Lu Ming clenched his fists tightly. Then, with a thought, he left the mountain and river diagram and rushed towards the Yuan Mountain Sacred Institute with all his might. He understood that now was not the time to be sad. Ice Dragon Valley Master had committed suicide because of them. They could not let down Ice Dragon Valley Master's painstaking efforts. Lu Ming flew at high speed, getting closer and closer to the Yuan Mountain Sacred Institute. In the He family, Yi Qian's expression suddenly changed. Damn old dogs. You actually committed suicide, but you won't be able to escape from my hands. Yi Gao shouted in anger and said to the two true emperors of the Hung clan. Lu Ming is rushing to the Yuan Mountain Sacred Academy at full speed. Chase after him. Buzz! 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 The three true emperor powerhouses moved and disappeared without a trace, chasing after Lu Ming. Lu Ming flew at full speed. However, he did not fly in from the main gate of the Yuan Mountain Sacred Institute. Instead, he flew from the side of the Yuan Mountain Sacred Institute. There was a Hung clan martial emperor guarding the main gate of the Yuan Mountain Sacred Institute. If the Hung clan martial emperor received the news and stopped him, he would not be able to enter the Yuan Mountain Sacred Institute. In front, the Yuan Mountain Sacred Academy was already in sight. The saint energy in Lu Ming's body circulated at full force as he rushed towards the Yuan Mountain Saint Academy. Selah. At this moment, the void behind Lu Ming shattered, and a few figures stepped out from the spatial crack. It was He Qian and the two true emperors from the Hung family. He Qian swept his gaze and saw Lu Ming flying at full speed. Lu Ming, get over here! He Qian bellowed. He stretched out his hand and a huge hand formed, grabbing at Lu Ming. Explode, 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 go! Lu Ming roared. The saint energy in his body exploded like gunpowder, producing a shocking power that increased his speed. This method couldn't last long, only for a short time, and it was very harmful to the body. But now Lu Ming could not care so much. Lu Ming's speed increased sharply, and he rushed out of the range of He Qian's large hand, rushing into the Yuan Mountain Sacred Academy. Not good. He has rushed into the Yuan Mountain Sacred Academy. What should we do? The two true emperors from the Hung family had ugly expressions. If Lu Ming rushed into the Yuan Mountain Sacred Institute, he would be under the protection of the institute. 111 Take him down no matter where I go. He Qian's face was ferocious and filled with cold killing intent. Lu Ming actually dared to take Lu Xiangxiang away. He deserved to die. Lu Xiangxiang was related to whether he would be able to survive the next major tribulation. This was more important than anything else. If Lu Ming dared to stop him, he could not wait to cut him into 1,000 pieces. And that old dog Ice Dragon actually killed himself. He really got off easy. Buzz! He Qian rushed straight into the Yuan Mountain Sacred Academy. He stretched out his hand and condensed another huge hand, grabbing towards Lu Ming. This huge hand covered the sky and covered the sun. This time, Lu Ming could not escape at all. However, at this moment, a beam of divine light burst out from the depths of the Yuan Mountain Sacred Academy. The divine light was like a sword. With a slash, He Qian's huge hand instantly shattered. The terrifying divine light did not stop, and continued to slash towards He Hao. Boom! He Qian tried his best, but it was still useless. He was directly sent flying out of the Yuan Mountain Sacred Academy. His face was as pale as paper, and he spat out large mouthfuls of blood. His aura was extremely weak. A hole had appeared in his chest, and the terrifying destructive power was corroding his flesh. Great Emperor! He Qian muttered, revealing a deep fear. A true emperor actually dares to attack a disciple of the Yuan Mountain Sacred Academy. Do you think my words are nonsense? An ancient voice rang out from the Yuan Mountain Sacred Academy. As the last word was spoken, a sound wave surged towards He Qian and the two true emperors from the Hung clan. The three of them had a huge change in expression as they frantically retreated. However, their bodies still trembled, and they were severely injured. Especially He Qian. His injuries were even more severe. If there's a next time, he'll kill. The great emperor's voice rang out again, and then it fell silent. Damn it! He Qian bellowed in his heart. He looked at Lu Ming in the Yuan Mountain Sacred Academy, his heart filled with unwillingness. Lu Ming had taken Lu Xiangxiang away just like that. His plan was ruined. Furthermore, he had just been severely injured by the great emperor's attack. His chances of surviving the next tribulation were even lower. He was furious. He roared in his heart, and was extremely unwilling. He wanted to tear Lu Ming into pieces, but he did not dare to enter the Yuan Mountain Sacred Academy. The great emperor had already given the order. If he stepped in again, the great emperor would definitely kill him. Old dog He Qian, if you don't die, one will personally cut off your dog head in the future. Lu Ming's eyes were fixed on He Qian from afar as his cold voice was heard. Just you? You better stay in the Yuan Mountain Sacred Academy for the rest of your life, and never come out. He Qian said coldly. Old dog, just you wait. This matter isn't over yet. Lu Ming said coldly. Then he moved and left the place. Little bastard, you're far away. He Qian snorted coldly, and planned to leave and return to the He family. However, in a flash, the two true emperors from the Hung family blocked He Qian's path. What's the meaning of this? He Gao asked with a cold face. What do you mean? We didn't catch Lu Ming. It's time to return the Tribulation Transcendence clothes to us. The white-haired true emperor of the Hung clan said coldly. Return it to you? I've already provided you with information about Lu Ming, and you've seen him. The Tribulation Transcending Sage robe is mine. As for whether you've caught Lu Ming or not, it's none of my business. He Xiao's eyes turned as he said slyly. Now that he had lost Xiangxiang and was injured by the great emperor, his chances of success in the next great tribulation were even lower. Right now, the divine robe was his only hope. How could he hand it over to the Hung family? If he handed over the divine clothing, he would definitely not be able to survive the next great tribulation and would die in it. This was a matter of life and death. Chapter 1926. Chapter 1926. The revenge begins. He Qian. You're trying to trick the Hung family's tribulation transcending outfit. Be careful that you won't be able to use it even if you have the life to take it. One of the Hung clan's true emperors shouted, and his powerful aura locked onto Lu Ming. If you can't capture Lu Ming, you have no right to take the Hung family's divine robe for tribulation transcendence. Hand it over. The Hung clan's white-haired true emperor shouted coldly, and the divine light of the world bloomed from his body. If He Qian didn't hand over the divine tribulation transcending robe, he would attack at any moment. The divine clothing for tribulation transcendence was extremely precious. It could only be encountered by chance, and not sought after. Moreover, it was a one-time use. After transcending the heavenly tribulation once, it would be useless the next time. Initially, it was worth it to take down Lu Ming and obtain the Celestial Emperor's sword. However, Lu Ming had not been taken down, and the Celestial Thearch's sword had not been obtained. How could they be willing to let it be regarded as a piece of divine clothing for tribulation transcendence for no reason? He Qian's expression was unsightly. He was truly unwilling to hand over the treasure that he had obtained. All right, 111 return it to you. But one provided the information after all, so you should at least compensate me. He Gao said coldly. Compensation? What do you want? The white-haired true emperor of the Hung clan asked. A true emperor weapon. He Qian spoke. A true emperor weapon? The two true emperors of the Hung clan looked at each other and nodded. All right, we agree to your request. The Hung clan's white-haired true emperor said with a nod. Although true emperor weapons were precious, they were still far inferior to the tribulation transcending divine clothes. All right, then I'll give you the divine clothing for tribulation transcendence. He Qian revealed an expression of heartache one. He took out a storage ring and threw it to the Hung clan's white-haired true emperor. The white-haired true emperor of the Hung clan waved his hand and grabbed the storage ring. At this time, He Qian's eyes revealed a ruthless look as he muttered, "Explode!" Boom! The storage ring exploded, and the destructive power sent the white-haired true emperor of the Hung family flying. This way, there was a gap in the encirclement of the two true emperors of the Hung family. Run! He Qian seized the opportunity and flew out like a bolt of lightning, fleeing in the direction of the He clan. Damn it, He Qian, you're looking for death. The Hung family's white-haired true emperor let out a heaven-shaking roar. What can you do to me if I hide in the He family? He Qian sneered, his voice coming from afar. Now his heavenly tribulation was more important. There were less than 100 years left. At most, he would hide in the He family for the next 100 years. 100 years was just a blink of an eye to him. The He family was as famous as the Hung family. As long as he hid in the He family and didn't come out, the Hung family couldn't do anything to him. He flew toward the He family like a bolt of lightning. He Qian, how dare you covet the Hung family's treasure? Your He family will pay the price. Behind him, the other true emperor from the Hung family roared and chased after He Qian. In the blink of an eye, he disappeared without a trace. In the Yuan Mountain Sacred Academy, a figure flashed and Lu Ming appeared. Lu Ming had seen everything that had happened to the 3 true emperors earlier. It looks like He Qian tipped the Hung family off and used my information to exchange for the Hung family's treasure. Now they're in a mess. Very well, Hung family, just you wait. It'll make you pay soon. Lu Ming's eyes were filled with cold, killing intent. He took a step forward and his figure disappeared. In the Yuan Mountain Sacred Academy, a new tomb appeared on a mountain peak rich with original qi. Lu Ming, Xiangxiang Bela, Tian Shui, and Xuaningxin were kowtowing in front of the tomb of the Ice Dragon Valley Master. Behind him, the other members of the Dragon Alliance also bowed. After a long time, Lu Ming stood up. He took out a pot of wine and poured it in front of the tomb of the Ice Dragon Valley Master. Then, with a single thought, a figure appeared out of thin air in front of the tomb of the Ice Dragon Valley Master. This person was the one who was brought out of the He family by Lu Ming. He was also a member of He Hao's mansion. Valley Master, today, I will offer the blood of this person from the He family to you. In the future, I will personally take off He Qian's dog head and come to offer it to you. With that, Lu Ming raised his knife and cut off the man's head. Valley Master, it'll make the He and Hung families pay some interest soon, Lu Ming muttered. Then he turned around and left the place. It was useless to be overly sad. Lu Ming would use his actions to make the He family regret. In Lu Ming's residence, he took out the Stone of Chaos and studied it carefully. I've lost the chaotic original qi as expected. What a pity. Lu Ming took a look. He injected his saint energy and chaos laws into it. But there was no reaction. There was no chaos qi in the chaos gem at all. However, a chaos gem was still a chaos gem. Even without chaos qi, it could still be used as the main material to craft monarch weapons. Lu Ming used his holy weapon to attack the Rock of Chaos, but he could not even leave a mark on it. Lu Ming refined it. At a critical moment, it might be used as a defensive treasure to resist the enemy's attack. After that, Lu Ming closed his eyes and adjusted his breathing. 3 days later, Lu Ming was back to his peak state. He then used the divine breath technique to change his appearance and left the Yuan Mountain Sacred Institute. Outside the Yuan Mountain Sacred Academy, there were still experts from the Hung family standing guard. When they saw Lu Ming coming out, they scanned him with their spiritual senses, but found nothing unusual. Lu Ming swaggered away. Lu Ming had come out for nothing but revenge. He didn't have the power to fight the He and Hung families yet, but he could collect some interest first. Lu Ming's first stop was Vientiane Tower. Firstly, Lu Ming bought all the information about the Hung family and the He family at Vientiane Tower. He even bought the information of some important figures in the 2 families. Of course, it cost a lot of money. After Lu Ming took away the information of the important figures of the 2 families, he began to study it in detail. 3 days later, Lu Ming went to Vientiane Tower again to inquire about some people from the Hung family and He family. Drunken Immortal Restaurant, one of the 3 buildings in Heavenly Emperor City, was extremely famous. That was because the beauties in the Drunken Immortal Restaurant were the most famous in the Heavenly Emperor City. Of course, there was also good wine that could make immortals drunk and dream of death. Therefore, this place had become the gathering place for the young geniuses of many forces in Heavenly Emperor City. Not only the young geniuses, but even the older generation would come. He Yutong was one of the top heaven's favorites in the younger generation of the He family. He was placed in an important position in the He family at a young age. Although he did not have a king physique, he was a heaven's favorite second only to the king physique. Now his cultivation had reached the great saint perfection realm. However, he had been very depressed during this period of time. He was also cultivating in the Yuan Mountain Sacred Academy. However, the supreme talents of the He family didn't have much achievements. They were suppressed in the Yuan Mountain Sacred Academy. Out of the 4 sets of array discs, the He family didn't get a single one. In the end, they could only choose to join the Divine Fire Alliance. Therefore, he was very unhappy. In his spare time, he would run out of the Yuan Mountain Sacred Academy, return to the He clan, or go to the Drunken Immortal Restaurant to relax. In Drunken Immortal Restaurant, there was a mirror-like lake. On the lake, there were sailboats floating, and on the lakeshore, there were many pavilions. He Yutong was lying in a pavilion with two beautiful girls. One was massaging his shoulders, and the other was lying in his arms. She was soft and fragrant. He closed his eyes and quietly enjoyed it. He Yutong, get out here. At this moment, a loud roar broke the silence. Chapter 1927. Chapter 1927. Intensifying the conflict between the two families, a loud roar broke the silence, and He Yutong's mood. Which bastard dares to disturb this young master? He's courting death. He Yutong stood up and stepped out of the pavilion. He looked ahead with cold eyes. In front of him, a middle-aged man stood on the lake with his hands behind his back. Who are you? He Yutong looked at the middle-aged man and narrowed his eyes. He did not know this man. The person who wants your life, the middle-aged man said coldly. Then he dashed toward He Yutong. Saint power surged in his hand and formed a long sword. Like a rainbow light, the long sword stabbed toward He Yutong as fast as lightning. He Yutong was shocked. He exploded with all his power, and a saber appeared in his hand. He slashed at the middle-aged man. Clang! The long sword and the saber collided, creating a buzzing sound. He Yutong's body trembled, and he was forced to retreat. He spat out a mouthful of blood. Eternal Spring's laws. You're from the Hung family. Why do you want to kill me? He Yutong roared. At this time, the people in the sailboats and other pavilions on the lake had long been alarmed. They looked over in their direction, and were all shocked. The laws of Eternal Spring were unique to the Hung family. Only the bloodline and body constitution of the Hung family could comprehend the laws of Eternal Spring. The Hung family came to kill He Yutong? The Hung family and the He family were sworn enemies. 1,000 years ago, there had been a fierce battle between them. However, in the last few hundred years, their relationship had eased a lot. Although there were still some conflicts, there were very few people who would kill each other in front of the public for no reason. Now, why did the middle-aged man want to kill He Yutong? He Qian, old dog, you're so shameless. You took away the Hung family's treasure and didn't return it. Then it'll make your He family disciples pay the price. The middle-aged man said coldly. His aura exploded, and a terrifying sword light cut through the air and slashed toward He Yutong. No, run! He Yutong roared madly. He wanted to escape, but the difference in combat strength between him and his opponent was too great. With a slash of the sword, all his resistance collapsed. His entire body was cut in half, and his corpse fell into the lake. He Qian, old dog, you only have yourself to blame. The middle-aged man left these words and soared into the sky, leaving the place. This middle-aged man was naturally Lu Ming in disguise. Previously, at the Yuan Mountain Sacred Academy, he had seen He Qian and the two true emperors of the Hung family in conflict. From the words of the other party, Lu Ming speculated that He Qian must have used him as a condition to take the Hung family's treasure. Later on, the Hung family wanted it back, but He Qian did not return it. Back then, the two true emperors of the Hung family had shouted that they wanted the He family to pay the price. Now, Lu Ming was taking advantage of this and attacking the He family members to provoke a conflict between the two sides. As for Lu Ming's chaos laws, other than the kingly laws and the 10 ultimate laws, all the other laws could be changed. The laws of Eternal Spring were not the laws of the King Path. Naturally, Lu Ming could change them. An expert from the Hung family had killed He Yutong, the pride of the He family. The reason was that He Qian of the He family had taken the Hung family's treasure. After Lu Ming left, this piece of news spread at a terrifying speed from the Drunken Immortal restaurant. Not long after, a few old men sat in a hall of the He family. The atmosphere was very serious. Bang! He Qian slammed the table heavily, his eyes full of anger. Preposterous. Is the Hung family going to start a war with our He family? They had already received the news of He Yutong's death, and were currently discussing this matter. It's all because of you. You embezzled the Hung family's divine robe for tribulation, which caused such a disaster. He Yutong also died because of you, the other old man said coldly. What do you mean by that? He Qian's eyes were cold as he looked at the person. That person was in existence at the same level as He Qian. So how could he be afraid of He Qian? He sneered and said, "It's very clear what I mean. If you didn't take the Hung family's treasure, why would they send people to kill my He family? No matter what, you have to pay the price for this. Hand over the divine robe, and it will belong to the family." Of course, the He family was not united. It was divided into various factions. Bullshit. One deserved the divine clothing. If you want it, fight me. Let's see what you can do. Die. He Gao shouted, his powerful aura filling the hall. Alright, stop arguing. The most important thing now is how to deal with the Hung family's revenge. The other old man waved his hand and said, "At worst, we'll just fight the Hung family." He Gao said coldly. It was impossible for him to hand over the divine clothing for tribulation transcendence. The divine clothing was related to whether he could survive the heavenly tribulation or not. And it was more important than anything. At this moment, they received a message at the same time. They took out their jade voice transmission talismans, and their expressions changed again. Damn it, the Hung family is too much. Is this an all-out war? The few elders roared. They had just received news that 2 more experts from the He family had been killed by the Hung family. If it could be tolerated, then who couldn't? The Hung family was obviously going to take revenge. If they delayed any longer, who knew how many people would be killed? Let's go to the Hung family. I'd like to see if they want to start a full-scale war. An old man sitting at the head of the table said coldly before walking out. The other elders, including He Qian, also followed. They left the hall and headed straight for the Hung family. In a hall of the Hung family, some elders were discussing some matters. Who sent people to kill the He family? Someone asked. We didn't do that. Although He Qian was despicable and took the divine clothing for himself, we were still thinking of a way, and didn't send anyone to kill the He family members. The white-haired true emperor, who had given the tribulation transcending divine robe to He Qian, said with a frown. The others also looked at each other. They didn't send anyone. So who was it that killed the He family? Could it be a private act of the Hung family's descendants? The people of the He clan are despicable and shameless. In my opinion, we should just kill them. The other true emperor said coldly. 1,000 years ago, the He clan and the Hung clan had an intense war. These emperor-level figures had all fought with the He clan back then, and had great enmity with them. So what if they killed a few people of the He clan? Boom. Boom. At this moment, a terrifying fluctuation came from outside the Hung family. Many powerful auras filled the air. It seems like the people from the He family have come. He Qian took our divine clothing for tribulation transcendence. And the people of the He clan still dare to come here. Make them hand over the divine clothing. The elders snorted and rushed out of the hall. Outside the Hung family, He Qian and the other experts of the He family stood in the sky. Terrifying auras emanated from their bodies as they pressed down on the Hung family's palace. Buzz! And NBSB whoosh! In the Hung family, many experts appeared in a flash. In the end, a few elders from the Hung family flew over. Each of them exuded a vast aura that negated the aura of the He family's powerhouses. He Qian, you still dare to come? Hand over the divine clothing. The Hung clan's white-haired true emperor stared at He Qian, and his eyes were filled with cold, killing intent. Chapter 1928. Chapter 1928. War between 2 races. Chapter 1928. Chapter 1928. War between 2 races. Your Hung family still wants my tribulation transcending outfit? In your dreams, you secretly sent people to kill my He family members. How do you explain this? He Qian shouted. We didn't send anyone to kill the people of the He family. An expert from the Hung clan spoke. Bullshit. You used the laws of eternal spring to kill the people of the He family. Do you think we're blind? An expert of the He clan shouted. What a joke. He Qian took my tribulation transcending clothes, and we didn't even go to his house. Your He family only lost a few useless pieces of trash, and you came to my Hung family. Do you want to start a war? An expert from the Hung clan coldly spoke. The He clan and the Hung clan had always been mortal enemies. Although they had eased up a little in recent years, these martial emperor powerhouses had lived for a long time, and had fought with each other countless times. Their enmity was not that easy to resolve. Every time they met, it was always with swords drawn and bows bent. Good, very good. You killed members of the He family. Do you think we're easy to bully? Unless you don't go out in the future, hee. He Qian sneered. In other words, if the Hung family could kill the He family could also kill the Hung family. He Qian, then I'll kill you first. The white-haired true emperor from the Hung clan had a very strong killing intent. He Qian had taken one of their divine tribulation transcending clothes, so he wanted to kill He Qian immediately and take it back. At this moment, a figure flew over at high speed and arrived beside the Hung family expert. True emperor, it's not good. The He family has been secretly hunting the experts of my Hung family. 2 great saints and 1 absolute saint have been killed by the He family. The man reported. What? You should die. When the Hung family's true emperor expert heard this, he was instantly enraged. On the surface, the He family had come to denounce their crimes, but they had secretly sent people to kill the Hung family members. They were despicable and shameless. Nonsense. We didn't send anyone to kill your Hung family, an old man from the He family said with a frown. You're obviously using the law of the 4 seasons, yet you dare to say that you're not a member of the He family. The person who came to report the news shouted. The He family inherited the law of the 4 seasons, which was similar to the eternal spring law of the Hung family. In the distant past, the He family was even known as the descendants of the celestial emperor, which was why they were mortal enemies with the Hung family. Damn it! You took the Hung family's divine tribulation robe, and now you're sending people to kill my Hung family members. Today all of you can stay. One of the Hung clan's true emperors was furious. He activated his world energy, and a terrifying sword light shot towards the He clan's true emperor. If you want to start a war, don't think that the He family will be afraid of you. The true emperor of the He clan was also furious, and launched a counterattack. Do it! The other experts of the Hung family also made their moves. Terrifying sword lights burst out, and attacked the experts of the He family. However, the He clan's experts were all at the true emperor level, so they also launched their counterattacks. The entire area was blown up. The terrifying force was rampant. The entire heavenly emperor city seemed to be shaking. The chaotic battle of true emperors was too terrifying. Countless people were alarmed and flew up to watch. Heavens, a battle between true emperors. That's the experts of the Hung and He families. Are the 2 families going to have another war after 1,000 years? In the distance, many people watched in fear. In the distant sky, Lu Ming transformed into a dark-skinned young man and watched from afar. Lu Ming's lips curled into a cold smile. In fact, his plan wasn't very brilliant. He used the chaos laws to split up the Hung family and the He family, and kill the other side's people to trigger a conflict between the 2 sides. As long as the 2 families calmed down and discussed this plan, it would not be difficult for them to see through it. They might even suspect Lu Ming. However, the enmity between the 2 families was deep to begin with. It was like gunpowder that would ignite at the slightest spark. Moreover, there was also He Qian's matter, so it was impossible for the 2 families to sit down and get along. After a few words, they really started fighting. Boom! Boom! Terrifying sword and saber lights filled the entire sky. The space cracked open, revealing a terrifying pitch-black space. However, this was the Hung family. As soon as they started, powerful auras were released in the Hung family. Some terrifying experts woke up from their seclusion and joined the battle. The He family's true emperor expert was instantly at a disadvantage. Rush out and return to the He family. A true emperor from the He clan roared. There were 5 true emperors from the He clan who came. The 5 of them joined forces and attacked madly. However, there were more and more true emperors from the Hung family. They were at a complete disadvantage and couldn't charge out at all. Attack the rest of the Hung family. He Qian's eyes revealed a malevolent look as he slashed out a blade light. It wasn't aimed at the other true emperors, but at the Hung family's palaces, and those below the true emperor realm. Not good, despicable. The Hung clan's true emperors roared in anger. 2 of them rushed out to help, but it was too late. He Qian's blade light was hundreds of miles long. As it fell, Countless Hung family members were turned into ashes. A hundreds of miles long crack appeared in the palace of the Hung family and continued to extend forward. He Xiao, you're looking for death. The Hung clan's true emperors were enraged, and some of them charged towards He Qian. However, He Qian's face was filled with ferocity as he slashed at the other members of the Hung family. The few true emperors had no choice but to block He Qian's saber light. Normally, when true emperors fought, they wouldn't attack the weak. However, He Qian's great tribulation was approaching. This time, he did not have much confidence, so he acted extremely crazily and did not follow any rules. When the Hung clan's true emperors went to rescue the others, an opening appeared in the encirclement. He Qian and the other 5 true emperors from the He clan broke out of the encirclement and rushed towards the He clan. He family, you must pay with your blood. The Hung family's true emperor let out an angry roar. In the distance, Lu Ming sneered. His figure flashed, and he headed towards the Yuan Mountain Sacred Academy. Next, he didn't need to do anything. He just had to watch. A war would definitely break out between the Hung family and the He family. Not long after Lu Ming returned to the Yuan Mountain Sacred Academy, in the Heavenly Emperor Alliance, Xing Chen wielded his combat sword and charged towards the Divine Fire Alliance. In the Divine Fire Alliance, he killed the He family's #1 prodigy, a powerful king body. This matter shook the entire Yuan Mountain Sacred Academy. The He clan elite was in the top 10 of the Saint King ranking. He was terrifyingly talented and was the second in command of the Divine Fire Alliance. However, he had been killed just like that. No one in the Divine Fire Alliance dared to stop the Eternal Star River. After hearing this news, the He family was in an uproar. He was the #1 heaven's favorite of the He family, with a powerful king body and unparalleled talent. He was regarded as the future hope of the He family, and a figure who had the potential to break through to the great sovereign realm. But now, he was killed by the Star River just like that. Start the battle. An angry voice came from the He family. Start the battle. It was the same in the Hung family. On this day, the Hung clan and the He clan both sent out terrifying experts. They met in the central area of the 2 clans. There was nothing to say, and a terrifying battle immediately broke out between the 2 clans. Chapter 1929. Heavenly Emperor Mountain, Battle Between Great Emperors. Chapter 1929. Heavenly Emperor Mountain, Battle Between Great Emperors. The He clan and the Hung clan each sent out thousands of experts, and a terrifying battle broke out in the area between the 2 clans. This battle had shocked the entire Heavenly Emperor city. This battle was extremely brutal. The sun and the moon had lost their light. The area around the Heavenly Emperor city had been razed to the ground. That battle lasted for an entire day. In the end, both sides suffered heavy losses before they retreated. It was said that many experts from both sides had died in this battle. Even more than 10 martial emperors and even true emperors had fallen. In the Heavenly Emperor city, the atmosphere was extremely oppressive. This was because everyone knew that the war between the 2 clans would not end just like that. On the contrary, it was only the beginning. Sure enough, after this battle, the 2 families were at war. Both sides sent people to attack each other's businesses. Both sides were constantly fighting, and experts were constantly being killed. The enmity between the 2 sides had reached an irreconcilable point. The battle was getting more and more intense, and even true emperors would often kill each other. Every day, there would be experts dying. This intense battle lasted for 3 months, and countless experts from the Hung and He families had died. However, this did not stop the 2 parties. Instead, their hatred grew even more intense. On this day, a piece of news shook the entire Heavenly Emperor city, and even the entire Yuan Mountain Sacred Institute. The Hung clan's great emperor had challenged the He clan's great emperor. Half a month later, they would fight to the death at the Heavenly Emperor Mountain. The battle between great emperors shocked the world. Countless people were dumbfounded and shocked. He didn't expect that the confrontation between the 2 families would eventually lead to a battle between great emperors. Heavenly Emperor City was the #1 holy land among the 9 holy lands in Mount Yuan. It was the most powerful. As one of the most powerful forces in Heavenly Emperor City, the Hung family and the He family both had great emperors. In half a month, the great emperors of the two clans would fight at the Heavenly Emperor Mountain. When Lu Ming heard this news, he was somewhat dumbfounded. He did not expect that things would develop to this stage. However, this was exactly what Lu Ming wanted. Wasn't his original intention to let the He family and the Hung family fight each other? He would use the blood of the Hung and He families to pay tribute to the Valley Master of Ice Dragon Valley. It would be even more perfect if a great emperor died. Lu Ming sneered. A battle between great sovereigns was a rare sight. This incident had alarmed most of the powerful forces in the Yuan Mountain. In the past half a month, many experts had come to the Heavenly Emperor City, wanting to see the great sovereigns. Time flew by, and half a month passed in a flash. On this day, countless people gathered at the Heavenly Emperor Mountain. Normally, when great emperors fought, no one would dare to get close to watch. Great sovereigns were too powerful. Even a wisp of their chi would be disastrous. They would definitely die. Even ordinary martial sovereigns would not be able to survive. However, it would be different at the Heavenly Emperor Mountain. Legend had it that the Heavenly Emperor Mountain was the place where the Heavenly Emperor had cultivated and verified his Tao. On it, the Heavenly Emperor's Qi engine filled the air. Ordinary people would not be able to climb up the Heavenly Emperor Mountain. Even for martial emperor powerhouses, their cultivation would be greatly suppressed when they ascended the Heavenly Emperor Mountain. It was said that even true emperor powerhouses could not fly when they entered the Heavenly Emperor Mountain's range. Only the great emperor powerhouses could fly when they entered the Heavenly Emperor Mountain. However, they would be greatly suppressed. The fluctuations from the battle would also be suppressed and would not cause any disastrous consequences. On this morning, the sky surrounding the Heavenly Emperor Mountain was filled with countless figures. There were countless people of all cultivation levels. There were Martial Royal Realm, Saint Realm, Martial Emperor Realm, and even true Emperor Realm experts. A battle between great emperors was a rare sight. It might be of help to a true emperor. Under the lead of a few true emperor-level teachers from the Yuan Mountain Sacred Academy, the geniuses of the Yuan Mountain Sacred Academy also came to the void far away from the Heavenly Emperor Mountain. They looked on from afar. Lu Ming and the others were among them. Sila. Sila. At this moment, the void not far away from the Heavenly Emperor Mountain suddenly cracked. From two openings a figure stepped out. Two figures were completely shrouded in endless light. Their faces could not be seen clearly, but they had a strong and boundless aura that spread in all directions. Although they were very far away, at this moment, countless people felt as if a divine mountain was pressing down on their bodies. This kind of pressure was like facing the heavenly Tao, and they were unable to resist. Two great emperors. The great emperors of the He and Hung clans had arrived. The two great emperors looked at each other from a distance and exploded with an even more shocking aura. This time 111 kill you. A voice was heard. This voice was cold and full of arrogance, like a god looking down on all living beings. Lu Ming had heard this voice before. It was the great emperor of the Hung family. Back then, it had sounded at the Yuan Mountain Sacred Academy, and he had even fought with Emperor Notionless. You're the one who's going to die. The other figure was clearly the great emperor of the He family. His voice was deep and filled with endless dominance. Buzz! Buzz! Next, the two figures moved at the same time and flew towards the top of the Heavenly Emperor Mountain. In the beginning, their speed was so astonishing that many people could not see them clearly. However, as soon as the two of them entered the Heavenly Emperor Mountain, they seemed to have felt a terrifying pressure. Their speed had drastically slowed down. The closer they got to the peak of the Heavenly Emperor Mountain, the slower their speed became. In the end, the light on the two figures disappeared, and their bodies were revealed to everyone. The emperor of the Hung family was an old man with gloomy eyes. The great emperor of the He family, on the other hand, looked like a middle-aged brawny man with a burly figure and unparalleled dominance. Of course, one couldn't judge a person's age by their appearance. The two great emperors of the Hung and He families had lived for countless years. Both of them landed on the peak of the Heavenly Emperor Mountain and faced each other. Then, both of them suddenly rushed to each other and struck out their palms at the same time. Thump! With a muffled boom, the entire Heavenly Emperor Mountain seemed to be shaking. As for Lu Ming and the rest, even though they were very far away, they could feel the intense fluctuations in the space. So terrifying. Is this the strength of a great emperor? This is the Heavenly Emperor Mountain, yet it can cause such a shocking shock. An ordinary Void Emperor at the peak of the Heavenly Emperor Mountain could barely contend with them. They could not fight with them at all. Indeed, the strength of the Great Emperor realm is not a small matter. Some people were discussing, after the exchange of blows, the great emperors from the Hung clan and the He clan both retreated slightly before launching another attack at each other. The two of them clashed again, creating a shocking shockwave. If this was outside, the world would probably be turned upside down. After that, the two of them continued to fight, but it was very normal. It was like two low-level martial artists fighting, one move after another, and the speed was not particularly fast. This made many people look at each other. Were great emperors always so ordinary? Lu Ming, Qiuyu, and the rest were also at a loss. They could not see what was so brilliant about it. However, the few true emperor teachers from the Yuan Mountain Sacred Academy all had a serious expression on their faces as they stared intently. Chapter 1930. The Blood of a Great Sovereign. Changes in Mount Emperor. Chapter 1930. The Blood of a Great Sovereign. Changes in Mount Emperor. Don't underestimate this kind of fight. It's the most dangerous kind of fight. Every move is a collision between the great Tao and the power of the world. It's extremely terrifying. One mistake and you'll die. The voice of a teacher from the Yuan Mountain Sacred Academy rang out as he explained to the disciples. A great emperor expert controls the great Tao of heaven and earth. With every move, the great Tao will be added to the body, and the power of the world will follow closely. This is the Heavenly Emperor Mountain. If it was in the outside world, a casual attack would be able to turn the world upside down and have the power to destroy the world. The teacher continued to explain while everyone observed carefully. Unfortunately, their cultivation was too low. They hadn't reached the Great Emperor realm yet, so it was difficult for them to understand the mysteries of the Great Emperor realm. They could only watch the show. Boom, boom. On the Heavenly Emperor Mountain, the speed of the two people's fight became faster and faster. Their expressions also became more and more serious. Each time they exchanged blows, a terrifying vibration would burst out. The Heavenly Emperor Mountain would tremble slightly, and the space would shake violently. On the Heavenly Emperor Mountain, a layer of hazy halo spread out. It was extremely mysterious and locked most of the force inside. Soon, the two great emperors exchanged 100 moves and were evenly matched. Then they both took out their weapons. The Hung clan's great emperor used a sword, while the He clan's great emperor used a saber. Without a doubt, they were both terrifying monarch weapons. The two continued to fight. However, the two of them had similar cultivation and combat power. After many moves, they were still unable to determine the winner. Just as the two of them were engaged in an intense battle, a figure suddenly appeared at the peak of the Heavenly Emperor Mountain. Everyone was shocked. Yes, at the peak of the Heavenly Emperor Mountain, there had only been two great emperors fighting. How could there be an extra figure? Clearly, this figure did not appear out of thin air. Instead, he had hidden on the Heavenly Emperor Mountain. As soon as this figure appeared, he launched an attack at the great emperor of the He family. His attack was extremely violent, and was no weaker than the two great emperors. It was obvious that he was also a great emperor. Everyone was shocked. How could a great emperor suddenly appear at the peak of the Heavenly Emperor Mountain? Luo, it's you. You're so despicable. The great emperor of the He clan roared. Luo. Many people were shocked. There was only one emperor surnamed Luo in the Yuan Mountain Holy Land, and that was the ancient Sun Holy Land's Daluo Heaven Sect's emperor. Lu Ming's eyes were shining. This emperor who had suddenly appeared was probably the great emperor of the Daluo Heaven Sect, the grandfather of Luo Tsangxiong. Apparently, the great emperor of the Daluo Heaven Sect had been hiding at the peak of the Heavenly Emperor Mountain for a long time. They were waiting for the opportunity to join hands with the great emperor of the Hung family, to kill the great emperor of the He family. I told you, the one who will die today is you. The Hung clan's great emperor coldly spoke, as his battle sword continued to slash towards the He clan's great emperor. Facing two experts of the same level, the great emperor of the He clan was no match for them, and was immediately at a disadvantage. Not good. Hung family, you're despicable. The people of the He family roared in anger. Their faces were extremely ugly, and they were extremely worried. If the great sovereign of the He family were to die, it would be a disaster for the He family. Without a great emperor, they couldn't fight against the Hung family at all, and would be destroyed by the Hung family. The He family, which had been passed down for countless years, would be annihilated. All's fair in war, you don't even know this. The experts of the Hung family sneered. They were ecstatic. They hoped that their great emperor could kill the great emperor of the He family. Then, their Hung family would become even more powerful. Everyone was looking at the Heavenly Emperor mountain nervously. If a great emperor had truly fallen, it would involve a lot of people. It would change the situation of the Heavenly Emperor city. The great emperor of the He clan tried his best to resist, but he was no match for the two great emperors. Not long after, the He family's great emperor was hit by the great emperor of the Daluo Heaven sect. His body shook, his face flushed, and he almost spat out a mouthful of blood. Buzz! The battle sword of the Hung clan's great emperor slashed over, but the He clan's great emperor dodged it by a hair's breadth. Kill! The Hung clan's great emperor let out a long roar, and his sword technique became faster and faster. The injured great emperor of the He clan found it harder and harder to dodge. After a few more moves, the He clan's great emperor finally couldn't dodge, and was slashed in the chest by the Hung clan's great emperor. A long sword wound appeared, and his entire body was almost cut in half. The great emperor's blood splattered everywhere, and scattered on the peak of the Heavenly Emperor mountain. The great emperor of the He family roared, and wanted to retreat, but his retreat was blocked by the Daluo Heaven sect. He roared he was unwilling. If they were not at the Heavenly Emperor mountain, everything of theirs would have been suppressed. If they were outside the Heavenly Emperor mountain, even if the two great sovereigns joined hands, they might not be able to stop him. With his strength, he would have no worries in escaping. However, this was the Heavenly Emperor mountain, it would be different. He understood that he had fallen into a trap. Going to the Heavenly Emperor mountain to fight with the great emperor of the Hung clan was clearly the other party's scheme. Great Emperor! The people of the He clan cried out in sorrow, their hearts trembling with fear. Could it be that the great emperor of the He clan was really going to fall here today? The Hung family members were ecstatic, but at this moment a change suddenly occurred. Buzz! Suddenly, the Heavenly Emperor mountain started to shake violently. Endless brilliant radiance spread out. Boom! Boom! Next, a shocking explosion sound emerged from the Heavenly Emperor mountain, and shattered rocks flew everywhere. What's going on? Many people's expression changed drastically. Why did such a shocking change suddenly appear at the Heavenly Emperor mountain? Such a thing had never happened before. It's the blood of the great sovereign. The blood of the great sovereign has been absorbed by the Heavenly Emperor mountain. Some of the true Emperor realm cultivators shouted. Their eyes were sharp, and their spiritual senses were sharp. Even from far away, they could still notice this. Everyone's heart trembled. It was actually because of the great emperor's blood. However, why would the blood of the great emperor cause such a change to the Heavenly Emperor mountain? Boom! 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 At this moment, 3 extremely terrifying auras spread out from the Heaven and Earth mountain. It was the aura of 3 great emperors. Previously, the chi of the great emperor had been completely suppressed by the Heavenly Emperor mountain. Now, the Heavenly Emperor mountain seemed to have lost its suppressing effect. Get lost! The great emperor of the He clan let out a long howl, as a terrifying and boundless power erupted. With a slash of his blade, the vast sky was split open, and a spatial crack of unknown length appeared in the sky. The great emperor of the He clan transformed into a blade light, and charged into the spatial crack. Don't even think about leaving. The great emperors from the Hung family, and the Daluo Heaven sect chased after the great emperor from the He family, and rushed into the spatial crack. And MBSB, the void in the spatial rift immediately exploded with terrifying ripples. Boom, boom, boom. The Heavenly Emperor Mountain continued to shake. The radiance grew brighter and brighter. Finally, the radiance condensed into a figure. This figure was dressed in a white robe. He looked very young, like a young man in his 30s. He was tall, handsome, and had the aura to swallow the world. He just stood there as if he was the only one in the world. Heavens! Celestial Emperor! Could this be the Celestial Emperor? Many people's voices trembled. Selah! The spatial crack appeared again, and the figure of the Hung clan's great emperor appeared. His face was somewhat gloomy, as he also looked at the Heavenly Emperor apparition in the sky above the Heavenly Emperor Mountain with a surprised expression. Then, the great emperor of the Daluo Heaven sect also appeared beside him. Selah! In the distance, spatial fluctuations could be felt as the great emperor of the He family appeared. Chapter 1931. The Celestial Thearch's Figure. Chapter 1931. The Celestial Thearch's figure. The appearance of the three great emperors meant that the great emperors from the Hung family and the Daluo Heaven sect couldn't do anything to the great emperor from the He family. Once they lost the suppression of the Heavenly Emperor Mountain in the outside world, it would be difficult for two great emperors of the same level to kill the other one unless the difference in strength was too great. Seeing that the great emperor of the He clan was fine, everyone in the He clan let out a long sigh of relief. The three great emperors all looked at the shadow in the sky. Heavenly Emperor's projection, said the emperor of the Hung clan. His expression was grave, but he was also filled with anticipation. At this moment, the space above Lu Ming and the others fluctuated, and a figure appeared out of thin air. Lu Ming and the others were shocked. This person was Emperor Wuxia of the Yuan Mountain Sacred Academy. The teachers and students of the Yuan Mountain Sacred Academy were just about to bow when Emperor Wuxia waved his hand, indicating that there was no need to bow. At this moment, the figure in the sky was becoming more and more corporeal, and everyone was shocked. Could it be that the Celestial Thearch was about to be resurrected? Or was this just a mark left by the Heavenly Emperor when he was in seclusion? Everyone guessed that today's matter had exceeded their expectations. Buzz! Just as the Heavenly Emperor apparition had condensed to the extreme, his figure suddenly flew towards the Heavenly Emperor Mountain. He entered the mountain and disappeared. Boom! In the next moment, with a shocking boom, the entire Heavenly Emperor Mountain exploded. The majestic Heavenly Emperor Mountain exploded. Then, a light beam shot out from below the Heavenly Emperor Mountain and pierced through the sky. That is a flower! Someone exclaimed. At the foot of the Heavenly Emperor Mountain, a beam of light shot into the sky. Between the light beam, a flower emerged. This flower did not look like it had bloomed yet. It was only in the shape of a bud, and looked like a lotus. Everyone was shocked. What was going on? This flower is just an illusion, not a real entity. Look, there's a cave down there. It keeps going down. The strange movements at the Heavenly Emperor Mountain had caused a clamor in all directions. Lu Ming fixed his eyes on it. Indeed, the flower in the sky was not a real entity. It was more like a projection. Originally, there was a cave under the Heavenly Emperor Mountain. That light pillar had shot out from this cave. Could it be that there was some treasure in that cave? The Heavenly Emperor Mountain had always been suppressing this treasure? At the thought of this, many people's eyes burned with passion. If it was a treasure, even the Celestial Thearch would value it. Even the emperor couldn't remain calm. In a flash, the great emperors of the Hung family, the Daluo Heaven sect, the He family, and the formless emperor appeared in the sky above the cave at the same time. The great emperor of the Hung clan glanced at the great emperor of the He clan coldly, but didn't say anything. The Heavenly Emperor Mountain had exploded. Without the suppression of the Heavenly Emperor Mountain, he knew that he could not kill the great emperor of the He clan. The four great emperors looked down at the cave below, and their faces were filled with shock. The others couldn't help but feel an itch in their hearts. Even the great emperor revealed a surprised expression. What exactly was at the bottom of the cave? Everyone wanted to go and take a look personally, but the great emperor was there, so no one dared to go. If they angered the emperor, only death awaited them. This is the world left behind by the celestial emperor. It should belong to my Hung family. Please leave. The Hung clan's gaze swept across the great emperors of the He clan and Emperor Formless. What a joke. We don't even know if this was left behind by the Heavenly Emperor. Even if it was left behind by the Heavenly Emperor, what does it have to do with your Hung family? Don't say that you're a descendant of the Celestial Emperor. The great emperor of the He clan sneered. What's the meaning of this? Emperor Hung's eyes were cold. It's simple. The Hung family can't take over this place. The great emperor of the He clan said coldly. He then turned to Emperor Formless. Wuxia, what do you think? The Heavenly Emperor has been dead for countless years. So many years have passed, and nothing can be explained clearly. Therefore, the things left behind by the Heavenly Emperor should only be known to those who are fated. Emperor Formless said. What he meant was simple. The Heavenly Emperor had fallen for so many years, so who could say for sure if the Hung family was the descendant of the Heavenly Emperor? After so long, the treasures of the Celestial Arch should be known to those who were fated. The Emperor from the Hung family had an unsightly expression on his face, but even with the help of the Daluo Heaven Sex Emperor, he couldn't do anything to the two emperors. What's more, the Yuan Mountain Sacred Academy was established by 3 great emperors. Now that the other great emperor had yet to appear, this made him very afraid. Then I'll have to rely on my own abilities. The emperor of the Hung family said coldly. Then he suddenly rushed down into the cave. The great emperors of the Daluo Heaven sect, the great emperors of the He family, and the great emperors of the Formless Heaven sect all rushed down into the cave at the same time and disappeared. The others looked at each other, but they didn't dare to follow the 4 great emperors. They could only wait with their eyes wide open. Boom, 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 boom. At this moment, a violent roar came from the underground cave. There seemed to be endless gales blowing over there. The light pillar that rushed out was even more dazzling. Then the 4 figures rushed out of the cave. No, they didn't seem to have rushed out by themselves. They seemed to have been blown out by the wind. Everyone was shocked. What was in the cave that could blow out great emperors? And there were 4 of them. This was too terrifying. The 4 emperors stood in the sky with dark expressions. After a while, the emperor of the Hung clan seemed to be unwilling to give up and rushed down again. However, he was still blasted out after a while. You go down and take a look. The great emperor of the Hung family pointed at a true emperor expert of the Hung family. You go together. The great emperor of the He clan looked at one of the true emperors of the He clan, Emperor Formless, and called out to another true emperor expert of the Yuan Mountain Sacred Academy. The 3 true emperors flew forward and charged into the cave. However, not long after, the 3 true emperor experts were blasted out by a force just like the 4 great emperors from before. Following that, a few great emperors called for the Void Emperor of the Small Emperor throne, but they were still blasted out. Then, he called a few more emperors to go down, but this time, they weren't blasted out. Instead, they blocked the power from below. It seemed that the power in the cave would change according to the cultivation of the person who went down. The stronger one's cultivation was, the stronger the power in the cave would be. What is in the cave? Why do the great emperors value him so much? Many people couldn't help but wonder. Your Majesty, there seems to be a force down there blocking us. We can't get in. The elder said. An emperor-to-be from the Hung clan reported to the great emperor. Everyone perked up their ears to listen. This lotus flower has 9 petals, and each petal represents a world. The lotus flower hasn't bloomed yet, so it's not time to enter. Emperor Formless spoke. He didn't hide anything, and his voice traveled far and wide. Everyone's heart trembled. Could it be that there was a small world beneath the cave? Gather all the powerhouses below the martial supreme realm in the Hung clan. Emperor Hung gave the order and then left. Chapter 1932. Chapter 1932. The Lotus World. The great emperor of the Hung clan gave the order to gather all the powerhouses below the martial emperor realm in the Hung clan and left. After that, The He clan's great emperor also gave the same order to gather all the powerhouses below the martial emperor realm in the He clan. Then he also left the place. Then, Emperor Notionless and the great emperor of the Daluo Heaven sect left. Let's go and take a look. As soon as the great emperor left, the others could no longer suppress their curiosity and rushed to the sky above the cave. For a moment, the sky was filled with countless figures. Lu Ming and the rest followed the crowd and flew to the sky to look down. That's Lu Ming and the rest were shocked when they saw it. On the ground, there was a very large cave. No one knew how deep it was. In the cave, there was a bright light spreading out. In the deepest part of the cave, there was a lotus flower. This lotus flower was still in its bud state and had not bloomed. Upon closer inspection, one could see that it had 9 petals. It was obvious that the lotus in the sky was a projection of this lotus. Everyone couldn't help but think of Emperor Notionless' words. The lotus had 9 petals, representing 9 worlds. The lotus had not bloomed yet, so he could not enter for the time being. Did the 9 petals of that lotus flower represent 9 worlds? Was this the world left behind by the celestial emperor? Everyone's imagination ran wild. However, they soon realized that only those below the martial supreme realm could enter. I don't believe it. There were Void Emperor and even True Emperor experts who flew down into the cave. However, when they entered the cave, a terrifying energy seemed to have been produced inside the cave. All these Emperor-level experts were blown out without exception. Only the powerhouses below the martial supreme realm could stabilize their bodies. However, they were also blocked by a powerful force when they approached the lotus. Countless people went down to test it out, but the result was the same. Everyone knew that they still had to wait. They had to wait for the moment the lotus bloomed. Lu Ming and the rest did not go down to test the waters. The great emperor had said that there was no need for them to go down. They just had to wait patiently. After that, they followed the teachers of the Yuan Mountain Sacred Academy and returned to the Yuan Mountain Sacred Academy. Following that, the news of this place spread to the entire Yuan Mountain at a terrifying speed. It was very likely that the Celestial Varch had left behind some ruins that had shocked countless people. One after another, powerful forces descended upon Heavenly Emperor City. The forces of the other 8 sacred lands, and some ancient clans, had also sent their experts over. Ancient Moon Holy Land, Phoenix Palace, Divine Elephant Sect, One Family, Sirius Tower, Golden Crow Clan, etc. All had experts coming, and they were all led by true emperors. They brought many experts below Martial Emperor, and most of them were Emperor-to-be. This was very likely a relic left behind by the Celestial Emperor, and everyone wanted a share of it. If an Emperor-level expert couldn't go down, the best choice would be an Emperor-to-be. As time passed, more and more powerful martial artists arrived at Heavenly Emperor City. As time passed, the lotus flower slowly bloomed. A month later, when the lotus was about to fully bloom, countless people gathered in the area. At a glance, it was unknown how many people there were. Most of them were at the Absolute Saint realm and Emperor-to-be realm. Get lost, let's go. A loud shout rang out as a group of experts exploded forth with a terrifying aura. The crowd couldn't help but make way for them. They were from the Hung clan. The Hung clan had sent over 100 people, and the leaders were a few true emperor experts. Although the Hung family was overbearing, many people did not dare to voice their anger. The Hung family was a great emperor's force. With a great emperor in charge, which force would dare to provoke them? The Hung family is really overbearing. A cold voice rang out. Following that, the people of the He clan also arrived. They said that the Hung clan was overbearing, but they weren't any different. The true emperor opened up a path, and the crowd forcefully opened up a path for him. The Hung family and the He family were at daggers drawn. Then the powerhouses of the Daluo Heaven sect also arrived, followed by several powerful ancient clans. The teachers of the Yuan Mountain Sacred Academy had also arrived with a group of young geniuses. Selah. Suddenly, the space near the cave was torn open. A few figures appeared, exuding a terrifying aura. It was the aura of a great emperor. Everyone couldn't help but step back. The emperors all looked at the lotus below. Half a day later, The lotus flower was finally in full bloom. Go down, the emperor from the Hung family said. The Hung family's powerhouses immediately rushed down the cave. Of course, they were all below the martial emperor realm. Most of them were emperor-to-be and absolute saints. Then, the powerhouses of the He family and the Daluo Heaven sect also rushed into the cave. Lu Ming saw Luo Tsangsheng and Luo Pokong among the powerhouses of the Daluo Heaven sect. Let's charge too. The people from the other forces shouted one after another. Then they gathered together and rushed into the cave. The emperors didn't stop them, and they all entered the cave. You guys go too. The teachers of the Yuan Mountain Sacred Academy looked at Lu Ming and the rest. In fact, there weren't many Heaven's favorites following the teachers of the Yuan Mountain Sacred Academy. The majority of the major powers had arrived. Those geniuses all returned to their respective powers and followed them into the caves. Only a few people remained in the Yuan Mountain Sacred Academy. Lu Ming and the rest nodded and then rushed toward the cave. The cave was huge, and even though countless people were flying down, it did not seem crowded. Lu Ming and the rest looked down and realized that when many people approached the lotus, their bodies would shrink rapidly. Then, they would rush toward one of the petals and disappear among the petals. It seemed to be random. You couldn't go to any petal you wanted to. You would enter a random petal. Many people from the major forces flew over and entered the different flower petals. All of a sudden, Lu Ming felt that danger was approaching. Buzz! A terrifying golden light shot toward Lu Ming from his right. Lu Ming's eyes narrowed, and he threw a punch to the right. Boom! With a loud boom, the golden light was destroyed. Then, Lu Ming saw a group of people in golden robes staring at him coldly. It's an expert from the Golden Crow clan. On the side, Huang Ling spoke. The Golden Crow race. Lu Ming's eyes were filled with killing intent. These people were obviously the absolute saints of the Golden Crow race, and even emperor-to-be experts. The person who had ambushed Lu Ming was an absolute saint in the Great Circle. An expert from the Golden Crow clan actually launched a sneak attack on a junior. If you want to fight, let's fight. An old man beside Huang Ling said coldly. This old man was an expert from the Phoenix Palace. The Phoenix Palace and the Divine Elephant sect had sent their experts here, following Lu Ming and the others. Lu Ming, you killed the crown prince of the Golden Crow clan. We must settle this score. One hope you don't run into us when you enter the world left behind by the Celestial Arch. An expert from the Golden Crow race coldly said. I hope I'll always be so lucky. Another cold voice rang out. It did not come from the Golden Crow race, but another force. The WN family. There were also experts from the Skywolf Tower and other forces nearby. They all looked at Lu Ming coldly, full of murderous intent. Chapter 1933. Chapter 1933. The first battle in the Lotus world. It'll kill every single one of you I see. Lu Ming said coldly, his gaze sweeping across the experts of the Golden Crow clan, the Wan family, and the Sirius Tower. Then well, wait and see who will die. One of the experts from the Golden Crow race said coldly. After that, the group of people increased their speed and rushed down. The other forces did the same. They rushed down and entered different flower petals. However, Lu Ming noticed one thing. No one had entered one of the 9 petals. It seemed that only 8 petals could enter. Very soon, Lu Ming and the rest were approaching the lotus. When they approached the lotus, a powerful force acted on their bodies. This force was a kind of attraction force. It was extremely powerful and difficult to resist. Their bodies were pulled toward different petals. Xiao Yu, Luo Tianyi, Huang Ling, Desolate Power, and the rest separated from Lu Ming and entered different petals. Buzz! As for Lu Ming, he was falling towards one of the petals. Brother Lu Ming, I want to go with you, Chirpy. Bubble's voice was heard. Initially, she was flying toward another petal. However, Bubble cast the space-time law and broke free from the confinement of gravity. She rushed to Lu Ming's side and entered the petal with him. Lu Ming felt his head spinning. The next moment, he appeared in a dense forest. Bubble, it's gone. Lu Ming swept his gaze and realized that Bubbles was not by his side. Lu Ming guessed that he would randomly appear in different places when he entered the world of flower petals. What is this place? Let's take a look in the air. Lu Ming pondered. His figure soared into the sky and flew high. Lu Ming was stunned when he flew high up in the sky. He noticed that there were many figures in the sky. Clearly, they were all like him, people who had entered this place from the outside. It's an island. Then Lu Ming looked down. Standing at an altitude of tens of thousands of meters, one could clearly see that below them was an island. Outside the island was the vast and endless sea. Buzz! And MBSB whoosh! At this moment, a few figures flashed and surrounded Lu Ming. A powerful and terrifying aura enveloped Lu Ming. Ha ha ha, Lu Ming! I didn't expect you to be in the same territory as us. Today is the day you die. One of them laughed out loud, his killing intent extremely strong. This man was an expert from the Golden Crow race, an emperor-to-be. On the side, the other people were not from the Golden Crow race. From their auras, they were from the Sirius Tower, the Wan family, and the Purple Extreme sect. There were 5 people in total. 2 were at the peak of the Absolute Saint Realm. 2 were in the Great Circle of the Absolute Saint Realm. And 1 was an emperor-to-be. A few elders are actually dealing with a young man. Interesting. It is indeed very interesting. All around, the others cast sidelong glances at Lu Ming. However, no one recognized Lu Ming. The people who entered this time were absolute saints and emperor-to-be from various forces. They came from different holy lands and forces. Very few of them had seen Lu Ming before. So naturally, none of them had seen him before. A young man has also entered this place. He's overestimating himself. An old man said while stroking his long beard. He was an emperor-to-be. This time, almost all the people who entered the Lotus world were absolute saints, and there were many emperors-to-be among them. If a young man wanted to come in and fight for the treasure, he must be overestimating himself. Very good. Lu Ming's eyes swept across the room as he spoke indifferently. Very good. The Golden Crow clan's expert was stunned. You've come to die, very good. Lu Ming added. Ha ha ha, we're here to die. Young man, you really don't know how to be modest. Let's see how you're going to kill me. An expert from the Wan clan laughed. He was an absolute saint in the Great Circle, and his acupoints lit up one after another. Saint weapons flew out continuously, and terrifying battle weapon chi gathered and blasted out. You're not that good at the 10,000 soldiers scroll, are you? Lu Ming said coldly. An absolute saint weapon, a sword, appeared in his hand. With a slash, the chi of the Wan family's combat weapon was destroyed. The sword light did not stop as it continued to slash down. The Wan family's expert did not even have the strength to fight back. He was directly split in half by Lu Ming's sword and died here. Lu Ming waved his hand and put away the saint weapons and storage rings of the Wan family's experts. How is that possible? The others were shocked, and their eyes widened. An absolute saint in the Great Circle was actually lulled by Lu Ming with a single sword. This kind of strength was too terrifying. The experts from the Skywolf Tower and the Golden Crow clan gasped in disbelief. It had only been a short while, but Lu Ming was already able to kill someone in the absolute saint perfection. This rate of improvement was too shocking. The people from the other forces were also dumbfounded. He's so young and has such combat power. Who is he? Could he be a supreme genius from the Yuan Mountain Sacred Academy? Those people discussed and no longer dared to underestimate Lu Ming. Let's join forces and kill him. Attack. The Golden Crow tribe cultivator shouted. A river of laws appeared on his body, converging into a terrifying attack that charged toward Lu Ming. At the same time, the other few people also launched an attack on Lu Ming. The combat sword in Lu Ming's hand flew out and turned into a destructive sword light, killing everything. Lu Ming's sword gleam pierced through the head of an absolute Saint Peak expert. Then, Lu Ming activated the prison-suppressing heavenly art and punched out continuously. Illusionary prison-suppressing steels appeared and pressed down on the crowd. The remaining 2 absolute saints couldn't fight back at all under the suppression of the prison-suppressing steel. Their bodies were torn apart. Only the emperor-to-be could resist it. Boom! Boom! The emperor-to-be of the Golden Crow race. The river of laws turned into a terrifying flame. Several suns appeared and collided with the shadow of the prison-suppressing steel, blowing it apart. However, his body also trembled violently, and he continued to retreat. His eyes were filled with shock. He was an emperor-to-be who had comprehended a law to perfection and formed a river of laws. He was one step into the martial emperor realm. With his cultivation level, not only did he not suppress Lu Ming, but the few collisions just now made him feel that his river of laws was about to be broken. How can this little bastard's combat strength be so strong? Quasi-Emperor Jin Wu took a deep breath and suddenly turned around to run. He had a feeling that if he continued to fight, he would die here. Do you think you can leave now? Primal Chaos Tribulation Finger. Lu Ming's cold voice was heard. He stretched out a hand and pointed at the void. High up in the sky, the wind and clouds gathered and a huge finger was formed, pressing down on Quasi-Emperor Golden Crow. The emperor-to-be of the Golden Crow race let out a long cry and transformed into his true form. His wings were hundreds of meters wide. The river of laws surrounded him, and he launched his most powerful attack at the Chaos Finger of Tribulation. Boom! After a violent boom, Quasi-Emperor Jin Wu groaned, and his body was sent flying down the island like a cannonball. Chapter 1934. Chapter 1934. Killing an emperor-to-be. Quasi-Emperor Jin Wu was blasted off the island by Lu Ming's chaotic finger of tribulation. His huge body created a huge pit that was thousands of meters wide. Buzz! In the next moment, Quasi-Emperor Golden Crow rushed into the sky, trying to escape. At this moment he was trembling with fear. He realized that he was no match for Lu Ming. The attack just now had pierced through his river of laws, causing him to be seriously injured. The life force of an emperor-to-be is really tenacious. However, he must die today, Lu Ming said coldly. He rushed out like lightning and chased after Quasi-Emperor Golden Crow. Lu Ming's current cultivation base had reached the Absolute Saint's greater mastery. As he mastered the chaotic finger, his combat strength became stronger and stronger. He had thought that he could easily kill an emperor-to-be with his combat strength, but it seemed that it would not be so easy. The battle strength of an emperor-to-be was more powerful than he had imagined. However, it would only take a little more effort. Lu Ming's speed was astonishing as he approached Quasi-Emperor Jin Wu at an extreme speed. Chaos Finger. When he was within a certain distance, Lu Ming cast the Finger of Calamity of Chaos again. The giant Finger of Chaos, like the finger of a god, pressed down from the sky. It was a shocking scene. Quasi-Emperor Jin Wu was like a fly, unable to hide from the Chaos Finger. He could only resist with all his might. However, the Finger of Tribulation of Primal Chaos struck down. He screamed in pain, and was blasted off the island again. The sky was filled with Golden Crow feathers. This time, Lu Ming would not let his opponent escape. He appeared in the sky above Quasi-Emperor Golden Crow, with an ultimate holy weapon spear in his hand. He swooped down and charged toward Quasi-Emperor Golden Crow. Quasi-Emperor Jin Wu struggled madly, but the result was already determined. The long spear pierced through Quasi-Emperor Jin Wu's head and destroyed his soul. An emperor-to-be was killed by Lu Ming. In all directions, everyone's eyes were solemn. This was a fiend who could even kill an emperor-to-be. It was too shocking. He used the law of chaos. One know who he is. He is Lu Ming, the son of chaos. Someone exclaimed as he recognized Lu Ming. It's him. One heard that he was a character who stirred up a storm in the Yuan Mountain Sacred Academy. He pulled out the sword of the Celestial Emperor and united the various kings to fight against the Hengxing River. After that, he established the Dragon Alliance in the Yuan Mountain Sacred Academy. So it's him. No wonder he has such strong battle prowess. A series of surprised voices rang out. Although most of the people had not seen Lu Ming before, many of them had heard of his name. The Yuan Mountain Sacred Academy gathered the strongest geniuses of the entire Yuan Mountain and attracted the attention of many. Some of the powerful geniuses there were also paid attention to by many forces. After all, if these geniuses didn't die, they would definitely become the rulers of the Yuan Mountain in the future. Lu Ming put away the storage rings of Quasi-Emperor Jin Wu and the others, and continued to fly above the island. The others also gathered their emotions and began to observe the surroundings. The area of the island was not small. However, it did not take Lu Ming long to finish touring it. After flying one round, Lu Ming did not meet any familiar faces. It seems that only a small portion of the people who entered the world of petals have appeared on this island. The others should be in other places. Lu Ming pondered. Lu Ming discovered that no one lived on the island. It was filled with lush forests and some weak demonic beasts. It seems that if one want to know the situation of this world, one have to leave this place first. I wonder if there's anyone living in this world? Lu Ming's imagination ran wild. Then he flew into the distance and into the vast sea. The Lotus World was sealed under the Heavenly Emperor Mountain. It should be related to the Heavenly Emperor. If he could get some of the treasures left by the Heavenly Emperor, it would definitely be an unparalleled opportunity. The rest of the people walked around the island and left one after another, flying toward the boundless ocean. Lu Ming transformed into a ray of light and sped across the sea at an astonishing speed. During this period, he saw huge sea beasts in the sea. However, most of them did not have high cultivation. The strongest sea beast he had seen was only at the Bright Saint realm. He did not know if Lu Ming was unlucky or what. But he did not see the next island as he flew. This world was bigger than Lu Ming had imagined. Lu Ming had been flying for 7 days. He did not know how far he had flown. At this moment, Lu Ming's eyes lit up. A huge island had appeared in front of him. From a distance, this island was extremely majestic and vast. It was much larger than the previous island. Lu Ming flew towards the island. As he neared, he heard a loud shout coming from a direction. "There's someone!" Lu Ming's eyes lit up, and he flew in the direction of the sound. Not long after, he saw an empty land. There was an army riding on strange beasts, galloping across the earth with a majestic aura. The earth kept shaking. Most of them are at the spiritual god realm. There are also some at the martial royal realm. Lu Ming used his spiritual senses to scan the area and discovered the general cultivation level of this soldier. Tens of thousands of soldiers ran back and forth on the vast land. Their auras intersected and converged into a flood dragon that roared into the sky. Based on Lu Ming's experience, it was not difficult for him to tell that this was an army training. Lu Ming strolled in the void and looked around. He realized that there was a huge military camp nearby. "Stop! Who are you?" Suddenly, a loud shout was heard and a few figures appeared in front of Lu Ming, blocking his way. "Everyone, I'm just passing by and want to find someone to inquire about some information." Lu Ming cupped his fists and smiled. "To gather information. One think you're a spy. Men, take him down and bring him to young Master Yen." A middle-aged burly man with a gloomy expression waved his hand. A few armored figures stepped forward and surrounded Lu Ming, their cold killing intent enveloping Lu Ming. Lu Ming shook his head secretly. These people were only around the 7th level martial emperor realm. Lu Ming could kill them with a single thought. These people's cultivation is low and they're no threat to me. Why don't I go and meet that young Master Yen and ask about the situation in this world? A thought flashed across Lu Ming's mind. He did not resist and said, "I'll go with you. Take him away." The middle-aged man waved his hand and took the lead. Soon, they arrived at a military camp and walked into a huge military tent. There were a few figures standing on both sides of the tent. Lu Ming scanned them with his spiritual senses and found that they were all half-saints. One of them had even reached the initial Bright Saint realm. At the top of the military tent sat a young master in luxurious clothes. His gaze was cold and arrogant as he looked down at Lu Ming from above. "Young Master Yen." This person suddenly broke into the military camp. "One suspect that he is a spy sent by another country to spy on our military intelligence. I will bring him here and hand him over to young master to deal with." The middle-aged man saluted the young master with a humble attitude. Chapter 1935. Chapter 1935. "Am not a spy." The young master lay on his side in his seat. Lai picked up a glass of wine and took a sip. He then glanced at Lu Ming casually and said, "Since you're a spy, why did you bring him here? Just cut it." Then he casually waved his hand. Yes. The middle-aged man acknowledged the order and walked towards Lu Ming with a cold gaze. Wait a moment. These people wanted to kill Lu Ming without saying anything. He was speechless. He stopped the middle-aged man in his tracks and looked at Lu Ming coldly. Brat, what else do you have to say? I've already said that I'm not a spy. I just happened to pass by and wanted to ask you some questions. Lu Ming explained helplessly. Nonsense. Who in the entire Mingyan country doesn't know that this is the garrison of the Divine Dragon Army? You actually said you were passing by. Isn't that ridiculous? The middle-aged man shouted coldly. Why are you talking nonsense with a spy? Drag him down and behead him. Sir Yin said impatiently. On both sides. The others looked at Lu Ming with a faint smile on their faces. It was an expression of superiority, as if he was looking at an ant. The middle-aged man's expression immediately changed. He revealed a ferocious look and said, Kid, kneel down. He took a step forward and appeared next to Lu Ming. His claws were like an eagle's claws as he tried to grab Lu Ming's shoulder. Lu Ming did not dodge. He stood there without moving. The middle-aged man's claw landed accurately on Lu Ming's shoulder. A majestic energy burst out and surged into Lu Ming's body, trying to make Lu Ming kneel. However, Lu Ming did not move. Even his expression did not change. The middle-aged man's expression changed. He felt as if his claws had grabbed onto a piece of metal. Kneel down. The middle-aged man roared. His long hair fluttered in the wind, and his clothes puffed up. He circulated his LV9 martial royal realm cultivation to the maximum, and a vast amount of power continued to blast into Lu Ming's body. However, Lu Ming still stood there not moving. In Lu Ming's eyes, a mere LV9 martial royal realm was no different from an ordinary person who did not know how to cultivate. Even if Lu Ming stood still and let the other party kill him, the other party would not be able to touch a single hair on his body. Above the tent, young Master Yin stopped drinking and looked at Lu Ming in surprise. The few people on both sides of the tent also looked at Lu Ming in surprise. To be able to remain unmoving and move like a divine mountain under the power of a LV9 martial royal realm expert, one's cultivation must not be weak. Little bastard, kneel down. The middle-aged man roared. His face was completely red as he roared. In front of young Master Yin, he could not even make Lu Ming kneel down. This would definitely leave a bad impression in young Master Yan's heart. This was related to his future. He could not wait to cut Lu Ming into 8 pieces. Interesting. Lu Quan, you may leave. Master Yin waved his hand. The middle-aged burly man Lu Quan glared at Lu Ming with a murderous look and retreated with hatred. It seems that you have some ability. Now kneel down and answer me. Tell me your origin, and I may leave you with an intact corpse. Young Master Yin said lightly. He was still full of arrogance, as if it was a great gift to Lu Ming to leave his corpse intact. Lu Ming frowned slightly. I've already said that I'm just passing by. Want to find out some information. Since this place is not welcome, 111 take my leave. Having said that, Lu Ming was about to turn around and leave. How audacious! Impudent! You ungrateful dog. How dare you have such an attitude in front of young Master Yin? Hurry up and kneel. The few people on both sides of the tent shouted one after another. Their powerful auras enveloped Lu Ming. However, Lu Ming did not seem to hear him and continued to walk out. Above the tent, young Master Yan's face darkened. Lu Ming actually dared to treat him with such an attitude. He was simply courting death. Take him down, but don't kill him yet. Break his limbs. Master Yin said coldly. Yes. On both sides of the tent, several half-saints received the order and surrounded Lu Ming in a flash. Kid, kneel down and kowtow to young Master Yin. Then destroy your cultivation. Perhaps young Master Yin will be kind and spare your dog life. Lu Quan was making a scene again. Lu Ming frowned again. Initially, Lu Ming did not think much of these people as they were too weak. He could not be bothered to lower himself to their level. However, the other party kept pressing on, which made Lu Ming a little unhappy. Brat, why aren't you kneeling? A half-saint shouted and was about to attack. Stop. At this moment a cold shout was heard. Then a group of people walked into the tent. The person in the lead was actually a young woman. This woman was extremely beautiful. She was wearing a fiery red armor that accentuated her curvaceous figure. Moreover, she had a heroic spirit. Her temperament was completely different from the women that Lu Ming had met. Behind the young woman, there were 4 strong men. Each of them had a strong aura and was filled with killing intent. Clearly, they were all battle-hardened generals. Seeing this woman, the half-saint's expressions changed. They all bowed and saluted. "Greetings, General Tianjiao." "Back down." The young woman's eyes were like lightning as she glanced at the half-saints. The half-saints looked at young Master Yin with embarrassment. Master Yin waved his hand, and the half-saints left. "Heavenly Flood Dragon, you're here." Master Yin smiled and stood up from his seat. "Yin Song, this place is my divine dragon army. What right do you have to kill people in my divine dragon army?" The young woman's eyes were bright as she stared at Yin Song. Yin Song's eyes revealed a hint of gloominess, but in the next moment, he revealed a smile and said, "Tianjiao, this man is a spy. He is here to spy on the military. I didn't inform you, and I was planning to drag him out and kill him." "A spy?" The young woman looked at Lu Ming with a hint of killing intent in her eyes. "I'm not a spy. I just happened to pass by." Lu Ming spread his hands. "Impudent. You still dare to quibble? You simply don't know what's good for you. Tianjiao, I'll have this person killed first, then I'll talk to you in detail." Yin Song berated. A half-saint immediately stepped forward to take Lu Ming down. "Stop." The young woman waved her hand. "Since you're a spy, then I have to interrogate you even more. You can all leave." "Yes." The 4 strong men who came with the young woman bowed and left. "And you guys?" The young woman looked at Yin Song. "Tianjiao, this person has some cultivation. One don't feel at ease leaving you alone." Yin Song said, "If he can kill me, what's the point of you staying?" The young woman said, full of confidence in herself. She was the marshal of the Heavenly Dragon Army, the youngest war goddess of the Mingyan country. If even she couldn't defeat him, what was the point of Yin Song and the others staying? Yin Song's expression was ugly. He cast a cold glance at Lu Ming and left with those people. Chapter 1936. Chapter 1936. Ruan Tianjiao. 10,000 Sea Realm. Lu Ming swept a glance at the young lady. Naturally, he could not hide her cultivation from him. The young woman was in the great circle of the Bright Saint stage, which was much higher than the others. No wonder she was so confident. Furthermore, Yin Song's subordinates had previously addressed her as Marshal Tianjiao. It was likely that this woman's identity here was not simple. After the others left, the young lattice eyes glowed as she stared at Lu Ming. "You really are a spy." "I'm not. I've already said that I'm just passing by and want to inquire about some things." Lu Ming was helpless. He spread his hands and explained again. "I believe what you said." The young woman stared at Lu Ming and said, "You believe me just like that?" This time, it was Lu Ming's turn to be surprised. "Because you're very calm," the young woman said. "I've been paying attention to you since I came in. You were very calm when you faced Yin Song or me. Even when Yin Song said that he wanted to kill you, you were still very calm. It was as if you were not worried at all. It was as if you wanted to leave and could leave at any time. This was not an act. It was a reflection of your true state of mind." "Oh really?" Lu Ming touched his nose. Indeed, he didn't care about these people's cultivation at all, so he was naturally very calm. A person with such a mentality is definitely not an ordinary person. "There's another point. I'm cultivating the Flood Dragon combat body, but I can feel a strong pressure from you. Your spiritual body is definitely not ordinary." The young woman's eyes were very bright. She stared at Lu Ming, as if she was trying to see through him. "Just based on these 2 points, you're sure that I'm not a spy?" "It doesn't seem to be enough." Lu Ming smiled. "My intuition tells me that these 2 points are enough," the young woman said. "Intuition?" Lu Ming was puzzled. "Yes, a woman's intuition. Don't you know that a woman's intuition can be very accurate sometimes?" the young woman said. Lu Ming smiled bitterly. He could not refute this. It was unwise to discuss a woman's intuition with a woman. "That's why I'm very curious. Who are you? Which country are you from?" The young woman was still staring at Lu Ming. I've said it before. I'm just passing by. In the past, I was cultivating on a deserted island. I've just been born. Lu Ming said casually. Is that so? A glint flashed in the young woman's eyes. Her figure suddenly moved. Like a phantom, she rushed toward Lu Ming at an astonishing speed and struck out a palm at him. Of course, this speed was for ordinary people. To Lu Ming, it was no different from a snail. Just as the young woman's palm was about to hit Lu Ming, he raised his hand and lightly slapped. Bang! Lu Ming's palm and the young woman's palm collided. The young woman's delicate body trembled, and she drifted backward. But Lu Ming did not move an inch. What a powerful cultivation! I can count on my fingers who have such a cultivation level in the vast C9 nations at this age. I know every one of them, but I don't know anyone like you. It seems that my intuition is right. I'm really curious now. The young woman's eyes were shining. Didn't one already tell you? I've just been born, so you naturally don't know me. Lu Ming said. Oh, if that's the case, why don't you stay in the Divine Dragon Army? I am the Divine Dragon Army's marshal, Ruan Tianjiao. The young woman said. Staying here? Impossible. I won't stay here for long. I'll leave soon. Lu Ming shook his head. He had entered this world to search for the celestial Thearch's treasures. He couldn't stay here for long. There's no need to stay here for a long time. A short time is fine. You can leave whenever you want. Besides, didn't you want to inquire about information before? Perhaps one can help you. Yuan Tianjiao said. Lu Ming's eyes flickered. He pondered for a moment and said, All right, I'll stay for the time being. Lu Ming indeed needed to find someone to gather some information. Yuan Tianjiao seemed to have a lot of power here. As a general, he might be able to provide Lu Ming with a lot of help. Yuan Tianjiao's face lit up. She had a feeling that Lu Ming was extraordinary. What's your name? Yuan Tianjiao asked. Lu Ming. Lu Ming nodded. What do you want to ask? Yuan Tianjiao asked curiously. I want to know where we are. Lu Ming said. This entire island is a country called the Mingyan country. Yuan Tianjiao said. Then what about going further up? Are there any other countries? How big is this world? Are there any ancient ruins? Lu Ming asked a few questions in succession. You don't even know this? Yuan Tianjiao was very surprised. Haven't I been in closed-door cultivation? One just came out. Lu Ming touched his nose and said, There is an introduction to this world in this jade token. Take a look. Yuan Tianjiao took out a jade tablet and handed it to Lu Ming. Lu Ming took it and scanned it with his spiritual senses. He started to read the knowledge in the jade card. After reading it, Lu Ming had a general idea of what was going on. It turned out that this world was called the Realm of 10,000 Seas, and most of its territory was the ocean. However, there were also countless islands in the ocean. Some of the islands were not big and were deserted, not suitable for humans to live on. Some large islands were vast and suitable for humans to live and cultivate. There were countless martial artists living on them, forming their own countries. The Bright Flame Island they were on was a big island. The entire island was a country called the Bright Flame Country. Yuan Tianjiao was one of the 5 great marshals of the Mingyan country, the marshal of the Divine Dragon Army. As for the ancient ruins you mentioned, there are indeed some in the vast sea realm. When one returned to the capital, I'll sort out the information on those ruins and give it to you. How about it? Yuan Tianjiao said. How long before you return to the capital? Lu Ming asked. 1 month later. Don't tell me you can't even wait 1 month. Sure. Lu Ming nodded. From the introduction just now, 10,000 Sea Realm was huge and had countless islands. It would be too difficult for him to search one by one, and he didn't know how long it would take. With Yuan Tianjiao's help, it would save him a lot of time. Come with me, I'll arrange a tent for you. You can stay there first. Yuan Tianjiao then walked out of the tent with Lu Ming following behind. When he walked out of the military tent, he saw Yin Song's group standing not far from the tent. Everyone was stunned when they saw Lu Ming following Yuan Tianjiao out. Heaven Serpent, how is it? Is this brat a spy? One suggests that we kill him immediately. Yin Song said. You're all wrong. He's not a spy. I've already investigated it. You can all leave now. Wan Tianjiao waved his hand. What? He's not a spy. Tianjiao, don't be fooled by this man. I suggest that we cripple him first, and then slowly interrogate him. Men, take this kid down. Yen Song waved his hand and two half-saints walked out from behind him. They were about to attack Lu Ming. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.